negotiators from Qatar back on the ground in Iran with U.S. support, aiming to de-escalate after 2 days of U.S. strikes and Iran retaliation over Iran's attacks on commercial ships. The U.S. agreeing to continue talks even as President Trump reiterates a ceasefire is over.
The U.S. official said the president considers Tuesday's strikes on commercial vessels an act of terrorism. Iran's actions constitute failed performance at an unacceptable level, but the U.S. is committed to finding a resolution.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv renewed efforts by mediators even after word of new assassination plotting.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Israel relayed to the U.S. intelligence about a very specific plot to kill President Trump. And it really comes as no surprise. Banners at the late Ayatollah's funeral read both in English and Farsi, "We will kill Trump."
Iranian plots to target him date back to the first Trump term and the killing of a top general. Federal prosecutors revealing more about a plot to attack last month's UFC White House event after 8 suspects were indicted on terrorism and conspiracy counts in a multi-agency, multi-state investigation.
The FBI is grateful for these partnerships that have helped prevent a tragedy.
Special agent in charge Jason Cromartie in Ohio.
From the initial 911 call, our law enforcement colleagues with the Danville Police Department and the Knox County Sheriff's Office recognized a potential threat. Their deputies and patrol officers did a tremendous job at evaluating the situation, taking immediate action, and exposing this terrorist threat, and then contacting the FBI.
Which then contacted the Secret Service as well. All of this just days before the UFC event, where federal prosecutors say the suspects planned to use drones with explosives before opening fire. It's the final day of a Utah hearing on probable cause in the killing of Charlie Kirk. But the judge plans to decide in September whether suspect Tyler Robinson will go to trial a year after the murder at Utah Valley University. America is listening to Fox News.
Of all the wireless companies in America, only one has 5 stars in every category from Consumer Reports, and that company is Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. Plus, no service contracts and no cancellation fees. Just phenomenal U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network. Dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
Point.
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace.
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly sunny skies and 89 for the high going through our Friday afternoon, but we'll keep an eye out for a couple of limited showers and thunderstorms. Tonight, clouds dominate. The evening, a return of shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly late night 73. Saturday, partly sunny, some fading showers and thunderstorms, 87, and Sunday, 87 and partly sunny. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ring.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
For goodness sake, Biff, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
And I'm not America's sweetheart or Annie Frey. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey today. She takes some well-deserved time off. How you all doing? I get to work with Brad today, which is always a thrill for me. I've not seen you in ages. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you?
You're good. It's always fun to have you. We've got so much to get to today. I can't even keep track of all the news that's coming out right now. And we're going to talk a little bit later in the show about a story that I think is so important about a mom who was murdered by her son. I don't usually do these kind of gory stories. I'm not going to give you the gory details, but about a mom who was killed by her son, according to family or neighbors and people. It's likely because of Facebook posts. That applies to all of us. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Obviously, we're going to talk about Iran. Some of what Trump's saying about Iran is really concerning me about the threats that are being made on his life. Like, he's talking about it in a way I've never heard him do before. We'll get to that. We're going to talk about the Freedom Fuel gas stations. That's kind of cool. And much more coming up here on the Annie Frey Show today. You said you were a little off today, Brad, because you couldn't get your coffee. Is that what your first world problem was today? Was that what it was?
Yeah, that was my first world problem. I every day, just so everybody knows, and Annie talks about it, she gets a big old Scooters coffee as well. But every day I will go through my local Scooters and get me an extra large iced Americano. It's not fancy. It's just black coffee, but it's good. It keeps me rolling throughout the day. And yesterday and today I've gone through, and each time I've gone through and gone past it, the line has been wrapped around the building and out. And I was like, I don't have time to wait. So I just have to come in to work without it. And now I'm on low energy.
Yeah, you got to have that. So let me ask you a question. What is the price? I don't drink coffee. All right, so you got to help me out with the fancy coffee, the frappe lattes, all that stuff. I don't know that world at all. I like tea, but not coffee. So what does that cost versus Starbucks?
Scooters is less. I think I pay $3-4 for an Americano.
Okay. And that would be like what? A house payment with Starbucks?
Yeah, Starbucks is up like $6-7 on some of that stuff. And naturally, the more stuff you put in it, the crazier it gets. But I can't do all that sugar. That would drive me insane.
Well, that's the thing. And some people hit those places every day. They get their frappe, latte, iced, whatever, with 3 other shots of whatever in it. And you're right about the sugar content. A lot of people don't think about that. And the caloric content.
Yeah, 5 calories in my coffee.
5. Okay. Not 500.
No, just 5. It's black coffee. You know, what is it? It's the espresso tempered with, and in the winter it's hot water. In the summer it's iced, so it's cold water. Okay. So that's all it is.
I'm wondering, as you say this, I'm wondering how many people have made major changes in what they buy as a result of what's happening in the economy. I know that I am the queen of the drive-thru. Okay, I love fast food. I don't care. I make no apologies for it. And I have cut way back on it because I'm just mad at how much it costs now.
Oh, things. Yeah. I've stopped doing the drive-thru a while back because of my heart issues and stuff like that. But, yeah, if you're going to go through the drive-thru, sometimes it's like, I'd just rather spend that same amount at the restaurant that I go to because it's not that big of a difference anymore.
Right. For 2 of you to go through, it's like $25.
Yeah.
I mean, for that, I could buy a hot chicken and call it a day, and that'll last me 3 days. Plus, I can make chicken soup with it. Plus, I have leftovers for the dogs.
Exactly.
I know. But that's one of those things that people have made changes, I think, in their lives, too. I mean, what's the cutoff? I'm just throwing this out there in the universe. What's the cutoff for when people just go, no? Like, there's a certain kind of bottled tea that I used to drink. And when it got to like $2.29 a bottle, a pretty good sized bottle, but still, when it got over $2 a bottle, and this is years ago, I went, no. I'm not drinking this anymore. I'm just going to go with the bag and make my own iced tea and whatnot. And I saw it on sale the other day for like $1.50 a bottle. Okay, well, that's reasonable. But when it went over $2, it's not that I couldn't afford the 50 cents. It was that I was mad that it had gone up. Have you bought a candy bar lately?
No. They're ridiculous too. How many?
Shocking.
What is it? $2-3 a candy bar?
No, the big ones.
Yeah.
That you used to be able to get they're like $5.
No.
For the big ones.
For a candy bar?
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the little ones. I'm talking if you get like the 2, and I love candy bars. Let's say you get the Milky Way, the 2 pieces, the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go north of $5 on those things.
No, thank you.
Yeah, and at what point do people say, yeah, but it took me 30 seconds to eat it, and that's $5 is gone in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I would imagine that's different for everybody, but everybody hits that, they'll hit that limit eventually. And I guess that's how the economy works. Let's see how much we can charge somebody, and whenever it stops selling for that price, it's like we know people like this, but they're not buying it at this price. We have to bring the price back down.
Exactly. That's exactly how it works. When the demand drops because people say, no, you know what? No, I am not going to do that because that's ridiculous, and that used to cost me $1, and now it costs me $5, and I'm just not going to do it. And it's not that I can't, it's just that I won't. I get mad about it, and I think a lot of people feel that way. But a lot of people are making decisions at the grocery store, buying a lot less stuff. They're looking in their cart, and they're looking for, my husband works that app like a boss. You know, he loves to do that. He goes in there and I'm not into it. I hate that stuff. And he'll get on the app and he'll put the stuff on the app like you have to, and then go in and save us a bunch of money and gets the points and all the stuff that he does. God bless him. But you have to really work it now to try to feel like you're saving money.
Yeah. My wife is a big couponer. She has a baggie that she carries with her wherever we go. It's not like she sits down and coupons, but anytime she's going through anything and there's a coupon, she grabs it. If there's a rewards program, she signs up for it. Coffee's a great example. I have a rewards program on there, and so every 4th or 5th coffee is free.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, do the things, make the wise decisions, but also, whenever there's deals and whatnot, take advantage of them.
That's true. My husband has his own business, and he's out in the truck all day long doing things. And there are certain places he goes to, truck stop kind of fuel places, and they have all these rewards programs, and you'll get a free sandwich, or you'll get a free drink, or you'll get a free this or free that. And the loyalty programs really matter when people are doing this all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing we noticed when my husband and I drove across country a couple of years ago is how competitive the truck stops are. I mean, when you look at Love's and Flying J and whatever, wherever anybody who's listening lives, there are various truck stops around, right? And they have the showers, and they have the gift shop, and they have all this, and the food. We were shocked, and I didn't really know this world very well, but there's a whole thing out there of people who are fighting for your dollar on the road. And you can stop at pretty much any of those places anymore and know you're going to get decent food to eat, maybe pizza or chicken wings. It's not broccoli, but it's good food. And it's a reasonable price, and it's clean, and you can stay there on the lot clean, and all these different things. It's just very different than it used to be. I even saw that Dolly Parton has now gotten into that business. They just opened some Dolly Parton truck stop or something. Yeah. Because it's a huge business now.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Going back to what you were saying about loyalty, we know you're going to spend money on this anyway. So we want to make sure you spend it here, because remember, the money's not made on the fuel. Right. The money is made on the stuff that you buy. And after, some of us are old enough to remember when you actually, someone came out to your car and fueled it. I wasn't driving then, but I remember that. And then all of a sudden they have the card readers. Well, now why do you go in? Most of the time I don't. So they've got to lure you in. That's where their profit margin is. It's not made at the gas pump. Matter of fact, coming up, we're going to talk with about the first Freedom Fuel gas station that's open up. That'll be fun. Jeff Monosso is going to be here from Fox News Radio about that. That's exciting, dropping the prices. But that's the thing. They don't make their money on the fuel, so they've got to make their money in the gift shop.
Right. It's interesting to me. I've noticed that. I know that too. It's like the profit margins are very small on fuel, but you got to somehow get people inside. And I always wonder, it's like, well, they offered pay at the pump for convenience, but doesn't that hurt the business model?
Yeah, it does. One time years ago, I drove off away from the gas pump, and I pulled the entire pump. Yes, sir. Yes, I did. I not only pulled it didn't have a breakaway. It was supposed to have a breakaway. It didn't work. I pulled the entire front of the pump off, and it looked like a Mel Gibson movie. Gas was shooting everywhere. Oh, yeah.
Did you just keep going? It's like, I'm out of here.
I was tempted. I got away from the scene. I got my car away from the actual gas that was flying everywhere, obviously. And then I stuck around. I have insurance for a reason,
Yeah.
But and even the police came and they said, I can't believe it didn't break away. I said, I can't either. It's supposed to have a breakaway for that purpose. And it was one of the older pumps, though, not like the electronic ones now. Yeah. So they told me if it had been an electronic one, it would have cost me like $25,000. It only cost like $4,000. No, it was $4,000. This was old $4,000 pump. But the newer ones, and this is years ago, $25,000 or more. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. Anytime you do anything like that and you just feel sick, you're like, oh no, my insurance is going to kill me.
Well, you do, but then you say, you know what? This is why I pay insurance. This is a problem. And I'm sure, and the scary thing was nobody could find the shutoff. They were running around like the Keystone Cops, and nobody could figure out where the shutoff was. Gas is flying everywhere. This is crazy. And here's the best part. Some guy tried to claim that he fell and hurt himself on the gas and tried to sue, and I had to give a deposition over the phone because it wasn't true. I mean, boy, somebody's always looking for an opportunity, aren't they?
Yeah. Here's we call that fraud, and we're not big fans of that around here.
Exactly. Here's a near tragedy at the gas pump, and all you're doing is looking for an angle so you can try to sue somebody. All right. Instead of looking for the shutoff, you're trying to figure out how you can sue. Great. Perfect. And speaking of gas, we'll talk about it coming up with Jeff Monosso from the Fox News Radio. We're going to talk about First Freedom Fuel gas stations that are going to save you up to 50 cents per gallon. That's a cool deal. How's that going to work? We'll see. Coming up on the Annie Frey Show, I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the bagel loan. You can Google the bagel loan right now and get the details that I'm sharing with you, but it's pretty simple. When you want to get a new mortgage because you're purchasing a home, or maybe it's a refinance on your current mortgage, you want the best deal possible. You're going to qualify for the low rates that you qualify for. Stewie's going to help connect you with those, but at Stewart's American Mortgage, you don't pay any closing costs when you get the bagel loan. So what you do is you call Stewie or text him at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. And talk to Stewie about setting up a bagel loan for you. If you're looking to be a competitive buyer and you're using the bagel loan, you can take those thousands of dollars saved in closing costs and apply it to the offer you make on the house. Or, just keep it in your savings account and don't spend it. It's up to you, but Stewie puts you in the position to be able to make those great decisions for you and your family. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from Crawford Butts Insurance. As we reflect upon the 65th anniversary of Crawford Butts and we enter the heart of the summer season, I hope that you're able to take some quality family time and enjoy your family and friends, especially as we join together as Americans celebrating our 250th anniversary as a nation. So from all of us at Crawford Butts, a blessed summer and happy birthday, America. Contact me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Looking for a smarter, safer way to invest? For a limited time, lock in a great rate with Together Credit Union's 11-month CD special. From day one, your return on investment is guaranteed. No market swings, no surprises. Just a competitive, fixed rate that steadily grows your deposit. Make your money work harder with a financial partner that puts you first. Visit a Together Credit Union branch near you or go online to togethercu.org to learn more. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey today as she takes a well-deserved couple of days off here. Now there's some gas stations. We were just talking about gas stations, how competitive these truck stops and places have become now between the food, the showers, the gift shop, and all the things because the margin is not made on the gas, which makes you wonder how these first Freedom Fuel or the Freedom Fuel gas stations are going to actually survive. Jeff Monosso is here from Fox News Radio. Hello, Jeff. Welcome to the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, Heidi. Good to be with you.
Glad to have you. So how are they going to make money with these what they're called the Freedom Fuel gas stations, as you know? How are they going to make any money if the gas stations barely make money as it is on the gas, so they say? How are they going to manage this?
Well, so we'll lay it out what it is first. This is a network of 25 privately owned gas stations that are offering cheaper fuel. With the first so-called Freedom Fuel gas station, they're changing their names. They've changed their names. Opening in Philadelphia as part of a broader initiative to offer drivers discounted gasoline, $3.47 per gallon at that Philly gas station, about 50 cents below Pennsylvania's statewide average. The White House says it's leading the charge, and this is helping put more money in people's pocket. And the launch comes after President Trump pledged to lower gas prices. But these 25 stations across greater Philly, essentially New Jersey and Pennsylvania, it's all Philadelphia-centric, they're operated by a retailer that's branded its stations and to align with President Trump's push for lower energy costs. The White House says they're not affiliated with the Trump administration, and they're not receiving any federal subsidies. So what gives? You're correct. If you know somebody in the gasoline business or the gas station business, they only make what, a couple pennies.
Right.
Profit
So they say.
per
So
gallon?
they say. I've not seen their books, but that's what they claim.
Yeah, and so I guess the thought is that people are going to be lining up to get that gas. I guess 50 cents off a gallon would be a good reason to partake and use fill up there. But also, you also mentioned the retail part of it. That's where these stations make most of their money, and perhaps they're counting on making some money there. And perhaps they're counting on what the president would call patriots showing up to fill their gas guzzling pickups at those stations.
Right. I like that. Because the name is Freedom Fuel, so a lot of people may think it's associated with Trump, but it sounds good, and isn't that nice? I'm not sure what they're supporting other than this business, which is great, and eventually I guess they're going to have 25 stations. So yeah, I mean, if they can bring people in, but they still have to buy those $5 candy bars, or this isn't going to last very long.
Right. Yeah, I recently saw the $5 candy bars myself, and just about had a heart attack. But yeah, that's where they make their money. And look, prices they've ticked down some. A month ago, the national average was about $4.15 per gallon for regular unleaded. Currently, it's $3.88. Yesterday, it was $3.84. A week ago, $3.82. A year ago, it was $3.17. So obviously, it was before the Iran war, and that's the thing. The president has argued that people should be paying less at the pump as crude oil futures retreat to levels seen before the conflict with Iran, currently at under $72 per barrel. Before the start of the war, the price was just over $72 per barrel. The president has also accused some companies of price gouging and warned the federal government could investigate if prices remain elevated. We'll see what happens with that. But I guess there are some main reasons why gas prices are still a little bit higher. First of all, we'll see what happens with the reigniting of the conflict and the bombing with Iran, and if that affects prices. But gas stations are selling fuel that they bought earlier at higher prices, and refining costs they stay high even when crude gets cheaper. There's obviously distribution and taxes that don't change with oil prices. Seasonal demand, we've got those expensive summer blends, but this is something that I know and I know people listening know. It's what economists call the rockets and feathers pattern. They've long observed that gas stations, they tend to raise their prices quickly when wholesale costs increase, but then they lower them gradually and more slowly as the costs fall.
I like that, the rocket and feathers approach. I never realized they did it that way, but that is how it seems, isn't it? The prices go way up and they go, oh, okay, people are still buying it at this price. So, we'll just slowly drop it and make you feel like you're getting something if you save 5 cents a gallon.
That's it.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier. Brad and I were talking about the whole concept of what people have given up as a result of the economy being tight and things being more expensive than they used to be. And you referenced the $5 candy bar. How much are people? Everybody's got a threshold, at which they say, this is too much. I'm not going to take that road trip this summer because gas is too high, or I'm not going to buy that at the grocery store because that's too expensive. Everybody's got an individual threshold for that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't spend $5 in a candy bar. I guess it all depends on the situation.
I've done it. I'm not going to lie.
If the kids are hangry, they're getting that $5 candy bar. But that's about it.
Yes, when it comes to terrorists making demands from the backseat of the car, is that what you're saying? Then you can give them the $5 candy bar. That is what happens a lot of times. But I think everybody has a threshold. I don't know. Do we know anything about how summer travel has been affected or not due to the high gas prices? I've not heard anybody personally saying. What was that?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Heidi. Record travel over the 4th of July weekend, Memorial Day weekend, record travel. Most people are jumping in the cars. They're not dealing with crazy airports anymore and those high prices at airline prices. And but they're jumping in the cars in record numbers, and because it obviously is the cheapest way to travel. And we're depending on the destination. That doesn't necessarily have to cost you a ton of money. But yeah, people are still getting out there and going.
That's interesting. And when people do consider the cost of airline travel, where not only is it expensive, unless you're a business traveler and you have to do it, it's expensive, and you get crammed in a seat. People act crazy on planes. It's just gotten a lot less appealing. It's better to get in your own car and do what you need to do. And I'm just so grateful we as Americans still have the freedom to do that.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Flying is not fun. And it's just, I do it a lot, and not happy about it.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore. It used to be a fun experience, and I'm not talking about any particular airline, but you spend half your time standing in line, and then you're jammed in the seat, and then somebody's trying to crawl over the top of you, and then they want to give you a hassle by anything you put under the seat, and it's just there's not the fun experience there used to be flying, where you looked forward to that, and that was a big fun part of your trip. Maybe once you get to your destination, you're having a good time, but the actual flying part of it, to me, has just not been fun for a long time.
It's almost as if they turn people into caged animals, because they nickel and dime them all the way up until the gate, and then once they get into the plane, then their knees are up. I'm 6'3", so you can imagine how difficult it is for me. And and then just people are fighting for every single inch and every single accommodation that they believe that they paid for, and they rightfully did. And so when it's taken away, or somebody's trying, it's a mess. Get in the car, people.
People putting the seat back and taking up your real estate. I can't imagine if you're 6'3" and someone doing that. And I just saw a story the other day about U.S. Airlines. They're redesigning their travel around their highest paying passengers. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not one of their highest paying passengers. So that means I yet go once again to the bottom of the barrel of who they care about, I guess.
Yep. Welcome to the new world of flying.
Exactly. And I feel bad for you having to do it all the time. Jeff Monosso, Fox News Radio. Thanks for calling into the Annie Frey Show. Great to talk to you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Heidi. You too.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, that was kind of funny, this story about how U.S. airlines are redesigning travel around their highest paying passengers. And basically, what it comes down to is there are a lot of people who have to travel a lot for business, especially the business travelers flying business class and whatnot. But the average schlump like me in the back of the plane, getting stuck back there, maybe jammed in the middle. They don't want us, Brad. They only want the rich people flying.
Wait, are you saying that I'm not rich? How do you know?
I'm saying
listen, I am not rich.
R-A-D-I-O, R-A-D-I-O. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no kidding. I always struggled with flying. When my wife and I got married, I weighed 330 pounds, and we flew to Hawaii for my honeymoon, and I was absolutely miserable because I just didn't fit very well in that plane, and it was like flying has never been a great experience for me. I've always struggled with my ears popping and all of that stuff.
330 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
God bless you that you've lost all that weight. That's not easy to do. Let's talk about that some other time. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey.
Home Shield Foundation Repair is a local business, and it's owned by Matt Hayes, this family-owned business right here, built from the ground up in St. Louis. That's the place to call for your foundation repair concerns, your needs, your wants. You've got a guy you can trust in Matt Hayes, and he's one of us. He's from here. 314-271-9900. And when you talk to Matt Hayes about the basement waterproofing concerns you might have, maybe it's uneven concrete, maybe you've noticed that dreaded kind of spidering in the paint in your home, or the plaster, it's gone to a crack, and gosh, we've got some issues here with the foundation that need to be looked at. Need to find out if it's something that's progressing, if it's maybe something that's been brewing for quite a bit. Home Shield Foundation Repair can help you get to the bottom of it and get these problems solved the right way the first time. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Call Home Shield Foundation Repair and tell them Annie sent you. Online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
There are many reasons to hire Morgan & Morgan for your injury case. Here's reason 17. In today's new world, many law firms have had money injected into their firms by Wall Street, private equity, and other lenders. This money usually comes in at very, very high interest rates. It's one of the reasons you see so many lawyers advertising. I'm John Morgan. This money is expensive, and the interest compounds quickly. These law firms can have a huge need for cash just to pay that debt. Why does it matter to you? My fear is your case is settled early and for far less than it's worth, just to service the loan that has mafia-like rates. Our financial strength is your advantage. That plus our reputation makes our firm your firm. Visit forthepeople.com to see our results and verdicts. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. What is the biggest threat to America today? We've got 4 options for you. It's Iran or Iran, Russia, China, or is it democratic socialism? We want to know what you think, and there's a couple ways that you can tell us. The first way is you can jump on Annie's YouTube page, you can vote in the poll there, and then you can leave us a comment in the chat, or you can text us at 314-241-9797, and Heidi is monitoring that chat, and so if you've got a relative comment on this or anything else that you want to comment on, she's monitoring the chat, so feel free, text in, and let us know what your vote is and why you voted the way you voted. The time is 12:31, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
2026 is a big year for America, and we'll be here with you, celebrating every step of the way. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk, sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey as she enjoys some well-deserved time off in the summer with the family. Brad's hanging out with me. Haven't had the chance to work with Brad in a while, and it's always a thrill, my friend.
Having a blast right now.
Yes.
It's always fun to work with you too, Heidi.
I always have a good time. I'm a little concerned. I got to be honest, guys. You know that Trump has always been threatened. They've tried to kill him 3 times that we know of, and who knows how many others attempts have been made that have been thwarted, right, that we don't know about. But he has, this last couple of days, he has been very, very serious in his approach to possibly being assassinated. And when I say serious, maybe just a little more pragmatic about it, like, yeah, it might happen. And I'm thinking I've never heard him say that before. And now we know that Israel has told him about yet another attack on him. And so today, he told the New York Post he has left instructions if Iran succeeds in their plot to assassinate him, and they'll be hell to pay. Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Iran to try to do this, but at the same time, like you do wonder what is their capabilities. But then again, we've seen with him, what'd you say, it was 3 attempts already?
Yeah, well,
and it's mainly lone gunmen just busting through. Like you wouldn't think. Everybody was shocked about Butler. It was like, how did that guy get that close? How did all that happen? Well, we haven't gotten a lot of answers on that one yet. And then you had the guy down at his golf course, and it's again, how did he get that close? Of course, Secret Service saw the barrel sticking through the fence.
Right, thank God for that. And then the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That one is the one that blows me away the most. How did he get that far?
Yeah, how can this guy not get into Taylor Swift's wedding, but somehow he can get into the Correspondents' Dinner where the president is?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about Taylor Swift. Don't worry, anybody. We're not going beauty shop. We're not going beauty shop talk. We're not doing that. Not doing that here on the Annie Frey Show, I promise. Yeah, but it just seems as if he's almost, the last couple of days, based on the comments he's made, it almost seems as if he's resigned to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's accepted that there are people that are going to try to take his life. I don't think in any way that he thinks that this is exactly what's going to be happening, but at the same time, whenever you're presented with the reality of something like that, and it's so serious, we were talking off air about, the heart attacks that I've had. So that is something that, in the same way, I've looked at that and it's like, well, maybe that's what's eventually going to get me. That's probably what's eventually going to get me is the heart attack. But, like you do what you can, but outside of that, everything else is outside of your control. And so there's almost an acceptance, but not like a giving in. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And we know that God's ultimately in charge of all of these things. And it's terrifying to me to think that, I don't want any president assassinated. I don't, left or right, whether I agree with him or her. It's only been him up to this point. But I don't want anybody assassinated, obviously. That's not the way to go. That's not the way to handle things. And if he did get assassinated, God forbid, then you got J.D. Vance, who I'm not real thrilled about on Iran lately. And there's that issue. So I don't know what it would, but I shudder to think about it. But he he said some things that he's never said before, just in the last week. And I find that fascinating. I mean, you look at Netanyahu, they're always trying to kill him. I saw a video somebody put online a couple of months ago. It was on X, and they had showed Netanyahu walking through some building or something. And I mean, he's got all these smoking hot IDF guys. Well, I'm sorry. Did I say that? All these.
Wouldn't know what that looks like, Heidi.
Sorry. They're all dreamy. Listen, I'm happily married, but I'm not blind. But anyway, all these IDF guys who look like they could kill you before anybody'd hear you scream. Those kind of guys are the ones surrounding Netanyahu. And you can always, and they're not looking at him. They're never looking at him. They're looking at everybody else but the principal, as they say in the security world. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing, and it's a sad situation. And I hope, and he sounds resigned to it, actually, that they're going to try to kill him. And other attempts have been made, as we know. Who backed those attempts? Do we really know? That's the question. There are always people. There are always opposition. It reminds me of that great line in The Godfather. Well, senators don't have people killed. Now who's being naive, right? There's always something going on behind the scenes, but it really bothers me. But he said, I've literally left instructions, if anything happens, to just literally bomb them at levels they've never seen before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he said, this is so, then he says, I hope you'll miss me. What?
Well,
I mean, this is crazy stuff, Brad.
Yeah, I don't know. He is a I don't know what the right word is. Entertainer is the wrong word. What I'm trying to look, but the man is good at conveying his message and getting his message into the spotlight. He's a great communicator. Yeah. Now, whether or not, I know there's a ton of people that listen that like, I don't really like the guy and he says stupid things, whatever, but you've heard what he said, and he's very good at making sure you hear what he says, even if you don't like it.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering, maybe in this, is he trying to push the reality of this out there to convey the seriousness of what is going on between the United States and Iran?
Right. Yeah, I think he is. And then they had the funeral that went on for like 6 weeks, it seemed, Khomeini. I mean, I remember Abraham Lincoln, they hauled his body around for like 17 days, multiple states. I'm thinking, okay, this is like Abraham Lincoln's funeral, going on and on, dragging this guy up and down the streets. But somebody at one of the memorial events this week said, according to Iranian media, why shouldn't we kill the one who killed my imam and my leader? Trump's killing is our duty. Why is the most despicable man in the world alive? And the difference between somebody who is going to be possibly a suicide bomber, which all, terrorists are not, and all Iranians are not, certainly. But the difference is, if somebody's not willing, it does not care if they survive it. That's a whole other level of danger for the president.
Yeah.
Because most people are going to want to come in, shoot somebody and then get out of there. That's what most assassins do. But somebody who's willing to walk in and blow themselves up or do something and they don't care if they survive it, that's a much tougher thing to defend against.
Yeah. Very difficult. Yeah, because, again, it throws a bunch of variables out because they're not worried about that you don't have to worry about an escape plan or anything like that. Right.
That's the whole difference that doesn't usually happen, here in America when people are assassinated, whether it's people we've never heard of, it's private people or somebody else. Generally, they're trying to get away. But sometimes they're not, or sometimes they take their own lives. So it just bothers me because it just seems that he's talking about it a lot more. And he has to know how serious the threat is. We know there are sleeper cells here. The other day, I do a podcast, Heidi Harris Show podcast, and I interviewed a guy who was from Lebanon. He fought in the Lebanese Civil War as a teenager, came over to America, became a citizen. He's a millionaire now. He'd never tell you that, but he is a millionaire. He's a venture capital guy. Okay. Made something of himself in America. And he said something I had never thought of. I asked him, I said, well, why haven't these sleeper cells been activated? We know they're here. A few years back, they found a terrorist training ground in New Mexico. And they covered that up literally and figuratively. Bulldozers, they just got rid of it. Okay, but how many others are out there? We don't know. Okay, so we know they're here. And I asked him, I said, why haven't the sleeper cells been activated? And he made such a great point that I had never thought of before. He said, because America is where they get their money.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, same thing. I went, oh. Never thought about that. He said, America is where they're getting a lot of their money. And if they do something like that, then there'll be more pressure on them from America that has not happened so far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and of course you wonder, you look at things like USAID and how much of that played into it. Like, yeah, the money is sent over with good intentions, but if you send money to a place with good intentions that have bad people in charge, you don't know what happens once they take control of that money.
Right. But he was even talking about people donating in
just
America.
Giving money, yeah.
Yes, to terrorists and to terrorist organizations. And then, and then there's some people in America who are still soft, I don't understand, on the Palestinian cause. You saw that story about that young lady who was killed in Ireland?
No, I didn't see that one.
She did what every smart young lady in America did. She picked up a boyfriend at a pro-Palestinian rally. Yeah, moved to Ireland with him and her daughter, and then he wound up killing her.
Man.
That's not where you should pick up boyfriends, ladies, just saying. Not that anyone deserves that. Of course she didn't. But I mean, that's the thing. I don't understand why people don't know who we're dealing with. And that's certainly not everybody who is of Arab descent. But the ones who think like that, we have to be very, very concerned. Years ago, my dad had cancer. And in 2001, we went to the doctor, and the oncologist, he wound up not going that route, but he did meet with the oncologist. The oncologist was from Iran. And you know me, I'm going to ask anybody. This was when the anthrax attacks were happening. I said, so doctor, what do you think about the anthrax attacks? And I'll never forget this Iranian doctor looked right at me. He said, you Americans are weak. He said, I know how they think. You don't. You need to round everybody up back there, question them, blah, 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 blah. And I'll never forget the look on his face. You Americans are weak. He said, I understand how they think. He said, I came here in 1980. The Olympics were happening and everything, and they questioned me up and down. And he's not a threat to America. This guy's not.
Right.
But the people who are, that's his point, is you don't understand how when he says he's not talking about every Iranian, because obviously he's not. He's talking about the people who are the terrorists. They think in a different way. And until we can wrap our minds around how they think and understand the evil that goes on with people who don't value human life, it makes it very difficult. It puts us at a disadvantage when we don't want to acknowledge how evil they can be.
Well, you can't stick your head in the sand and think that there aren't people out there that want to do harm, or be afraid to ask the hard questions or pull people out of the line and vet them and everything, because you don't want to be seen as mean or insensitive or even racist. You have a duty to protect the country, and him saying that you don't know how they think, talking about the terrorists, that is something that I was listening to this psychologist talk about this, and there's a level of development that people will get to where they're able to understand that not everybody thinks the same way that they do. So there's a large portion of the population that can't understand that, well, if I were in this situation, this is how I would behave. But they don't understand that other people won't behave in the same way in the same situation.
Right.
And so when they say, well, in this situation, if somebody was doing nice stuff for me, if they were giving me this, then I would like them a whole bunch, and therefore I wouldn't do anything mean. And they don't understand that there are people that are in that situation that hate them regardless, and then they look at you like you're stupid for giving them all this stuff because they're just going to use it to kill you. That's
right. That's what bullies do. Bullies perceive your being willing to negotiate as weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the bully on the playground at school. If you give them your lunchbox, does anybody have a lunchbox anymore? Just stick with me here. If you give them your lunchbox, then they'll demand your jacket. They're not going to say, "Oh, cool, you gave me your lunchbox." They're going to go, "Oh, sucker, you're weak. Now give me your jacket." That's how they think, and you're exactly right about that. If you don't, you have to at least acknowledge it's not every person. Nobody's saying that, and I want the Iranian people to have freedom.
Yeah.
I want the great people of Iran to be able to go back to freedom. But when it's like, I don't understand how a burglar thinks. I could walk by a situation where somebody left something on the seat of their car. I'm not going to take it because I don't think like a burglar.
Yeah.
So you have to, you just have to acknowledge who people are. I'm going to do a shameless plug here for my podcast, Vegas Crime Files. Vegas Crime Files, brand new. Just been doing this for about 2 months now. It's on the Audacy app and anywhere you get podcasts, and it's all first-hand accounts of what has happened in various true crime situations. I'm not reading you a Google script. It's all first-hand accounts of what happened. And my most recent one is about the Vegas massacre, where 58 people were killed on the Strip. Remember that mass shooting?
I don't have that memory, but
yeah, 58 people killed on the Strip in 2017, and it was somebody was shooting outside of the Mandalay Bay Hotel down onto a country music event.
Oh, okay.
58 people were killed. It was horrible. And so the people you'll hear from are the actual homicide detectives who were on the scene.
Yeah, we haven't heard much of that either.
Yeah, well, you don't hear much about it because Vegas doesn't want to brag about the fact that they were the largest mass shooting in America. We don't want to talk about that. Anyway, check it out, Vegas Crime Files. Okay, there's my shameless plug. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey.
Dana Lash.
America is that shining city on the hill, such an unprecedented beacon of freedom for the world. People risk their lives to get here, and it's worth celebrating America.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
The Funny Bone is welcoming some great guests back to St. Louis. Have you gone to a comedy show yet? I'm encouraging you to check out these folks who are coming here. Let me tell you a little bit about Guy Torrey. He's going to be at Westport Funny Bone Friday and Saturday. He's a St. Louisan, which is pretty cool. An uncut, unplugged, and unapologetic comedy of professional stand-up. Go to Guy Torrey, Torry, online. Check out some of his stuff and see if you'd like to see him in person. He's been touring comedy clubs all over the world for 30 years plus. Guy Torrey is coming to the Westport Funny Bone Friday and Saturday. Tickets at stlewisfunnybone.com. And, all right, folks, listen up. Robert Baril is coming to the streets of St. Charles Thursday through Sunday. He's been called the sharpest political comedian on tour. Now, he's from the left of the aisle, based on the stuff that I've been looking up online. So we're here to represent everybody. If you want to go see the sharpest political comedian on tour, check him out. His name is Robert Baril. Streets of St. Charles Thursday through Sunday. All the tickets for your local comedy shows online at stlewisfunnybone.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey. How you doing? Good afternoon. Always fun hanging out with a couple of my favorite people. I'll get to see Ethan here, and he's going to be popping in here in a minute. You can watch us live. Brad, where can they watch this live? I know I see my face live, but what's it broadcast?
We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch right now. And if you go, it's youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, and Frey is spelled with an E, Frey.
Okay. Perfect. All right. People can check it out. I love this. This is one of those satisfying parent moments. You know how kids get really bratty and you just want to throw all their stuff out, and then you think to yourself, yeah, but if I do that, I'll probably have to replace it. You don't have to replace it, but parents just get fed up. I've been an ungrateful bratty kid, waving my hand. We've all been ungrateful brats.
I was going to say, I don't remember feeling that way, but I do remember my mom feeling that way.
You don't admit that you were ever an ungrateful brat?
Oh, I was a super ungrateful brat.
Okay,
but
there
I
you
don't
go.
remember wanting to throw my kids' stuff out because, I don't have kids. But I can vividly remember my mom threatening me with that very thing.
Well, we know how to do everything because we're not parents. We have the best advice, by the way, for the non-parents know how to solve all the problems in the world. Joel Barber has now become an internet sensation. He's a father of 5. His son was being a little brat in language I can't use on the air, according to him. He said, I did something a little bit regrettable this morning as a parent. Kind of felt absolutely great. His kid, Davis, was being a little blanker who thought he knew better than his parents. I can't use those words. I'm not in Congress. No. So deciding to take matters into his own hands, the father took his Nintendo Switch, threw out the car window, going 60 miles an hour down the highway.
Oh, boy.
He said, he wasn't even playing the Switch. I was like, keep going. I'm going to throw your Switch out the window. And he was like, no, you're not. He said,
calling your bluff.
He said, I frisbeed the thing. He said, man, it felt great.
Say I won't.
God bless him. He said, I felt horrible doing this because he loves the thing. But oh man, it felt good too. The look on his face, he couldn't even believe it. You know, he's crying, trying to tell me how expensive it is, like he knows, like he pays for a damn thing anyway. Of course you don't pay for anything.
Man, I would never. Oh my gosh. I still get shudders thinking about trying to say something like that to my dad. Oh, no, you won't. Yeah, right.
Right. You know, like my mother and neither did my father ever slap me in the face. I got spanked a couple times, probably should have been spanked more. Never was slapped in the face, but I just knew it was coming. If I went, what? If my mom called me or got an attitude, not that I didn't have an attitude at time, but disrespectful things like that, I knew, even though she never ever hit me, I just knew that was coming if I did that. Or at least that I had the fear. Let's put it that way.
There was never a more sure way to guarantee what you didn't think your dad was going to do or what I didn't think my dad was going to do than to tell him you won't do that, because then he would.
Exactly right. I think it's funny, the look on his face. You know, it's like the parents, and once again, you and I have all the answers because we don't have kids. You take them, you don't have to take them to, you know, turn the car around too many times before they get the message.
Oh.
They're being bratty. You're on the way to Disneyland. I don't care. We're not going. And it won't take more than once or twice of those. You take them out of the restaurant and get, straighten out their attitude in the car and then bring them back in. I mean, it doesn't take much and they're not holding you hostage anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty funny, though.
That's to say, every now and then you have to shoot a hostage.
Well, you know what? It's the truth. So he said, online, he was saying, so now, you know, if your kids are testing you, just throw it. Throw the electrics, throw the phones, throw them out the window. Feels great. And a lot of people are cheering this guy on and saying, you're doing great, Dad. I literally, and I'm not a violent person. Years ago, I got so frustrated with computers. People can say what they want about me online, whatever. I go, I don't care. But if something doesn't work computer-wise, I lose my mind. And I got so mad. I don't know why, but I literally beat a computer mouse to death on my desk. I don't do this. I don't hit my dogs. I don't hit my husband. Smash this thing into a million pieces on my desk. And I thought, that's $25 and it's cheaper than therapy. And I feel good about that.
That's like those smash rooms. They were a thing,
yes.
I don't know, years ago. And you could just pay to go in there and they like, here's a hammer, go break stuff.
Exactly. Somebody else online responding to this father's story said, I threw my 16-year-old daughter's phone out of the car and then drove over it. Still one of my favorite parenting moves. Remember, it's a privilege for you to have a cell phone as a child. It's a privilege for you to have a bed. Okay. You're lucky if you have that. But another one said, so we're not gentle parenting anymore. Got it. And of course, this guy's raised 5 kids. So it's not like he's not going to play. You know, it's not going to be the one bratty kid running everybody's life.
Oh, man, gentle parenting was a disaster of a movement.
It was. And one user said on this thread, if you understand gentle parenting, you understand this is gentle parenting. Not yelling, not shaming, not losing control. Following through on something you said in a calm manner is the gentle part. When you understand what that is, it actually makes 100% sense. That's right, because if the dad had threatened to throw it out and the kid said, no, you won't, and the dad had backed down, then the kid's emboldened. And at 13, you know, you need to respect your dad.
Yeah.
To respect him at 3, obviously, but 13. Another one said, oh, these parents are funny. Another one said, I'll never forget when my mom took a hammer to my sister's Barbie house because of her attitude. Destroyed it in front of us. Powerful lesson, one user said. That is so good. Another woman said, I've been known to throw several treasures out the car window back in the 90s, usually in items my children were fighting over. The stories they now tell, laughing until they cry. Lessons learned, and mom is a legend. I think it's great. I think it is, you know, and I don't think we're going to talk a little bit later about a story. In fact, coming up after the break, talk about a story about a mom who went too far on social media. But I think this guy's a hero as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He didn't hurt his child psychologically. He wasn't trying to tear his soul apart. He was just challenging and standing up against a bratty kid. And I think that's fantastic.
Well, and it's cause and effect. Behavior and things like that have consequences, and you have to learn that your actions do have consequences.
Well, you've got to teach that in life, right? Because anywhere you, if you want friends, if you want a job, if you want a marriage that lasts, anything, you've got to understand that there are consequences for bad behavior.
Well, and then the other thing is, too, there's consequences for good behavior, and they're good consequences. And so you want to use that to shape the behavior of your kid.
Exactly. And you have to teach, because here's the thing. No one else is going to teach your children about character. They're just going to not have them around. They're just going to fire them, divorce them, not invite them to the other child's birthday party. They're going to handle your kid in a different way, but it's not their job to teach your child character and behavior. It's your job to do that. And if you don't, then your kid's going to be left out of activities and all kinds of things are going to happen. But that's because you haven't taught it. The rest of the world doesn't love your kid. See, that's the thing. You have to teach your child from a position of love. I love you, and I want you to understand that certain behaviors are going to make your life hell. And other behaviors are going to make your life easier than, constantly, pushing rocks uphill.
I would argue that if loving your kid doesn't mean giving them whatever they want. Your goal isn't to make them happy. It's to make them a mature adult.
Yeah, well, God loves us, and God doesn't say everything's okay.
That's exactly right.
There's plenty of behavior that, gossip. I'm just using one as an example. Gossip, God, as much fun as it can be. But it's fun. No, it's not. It's wrong. God says, and God knows, because God knows the damage it does to us and the damage it does to our souls and the damage it does to other people. And, just one example of many things that God says, I love you anyway, but don't be doing that. That's not nice. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Don't forget the text line's always open, 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. Coming back, we're going to talk about a kid who murdered his mom, possibly because of what she put on Facebook. A lesson.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. The doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000, the doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Looks down evidence on Lisa Brady, Fox News. On the fifth and final day of a preliminary hearing for Charlie Kirk's accused assassin, the judge says no exhibits will be shown to the media.
Defense attorneys for Tyler Robinson said the pool camera in the courtroom captured an exhibit, airing it for 2 seconds, despite an order that the camera was not to capture that kind of footage. Robinson's attorneys argued that cameras should no longer be allowed to broadcast the hearing anymore. Judge Tony Graff said while airing the exhibit did violate his order, he would not end all broadcasting. However,
effective immediately, members of the media shall no longer capture or broadcast any exhibits displayed by the parties during today's proceedings.
prosecutors then asked for the judge to determine the evidence against Tyler Robinson was overwhelming, end the preliminary hearing, and order a trial. But the judge allowed the defense attorneys to continue calling witnesses.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal, the judge does not plan to rule on setting the case to trial until September. President Trump says a ceasefire is over, but there is another attempt at diplomacy with Iran.
Qatari negotiators have now flown to Iran in coordination with the U.S. to try and meet with Iranian officials, to try and de-escalate the situation, to try and make the negotiations resume. All that being said, yesterday Israel shared intelligence with D.C. showing that Iran had recently developed a new plot to try and assassinate President Trump.
Fox's Benjamin Hall, Iran still pushing to control the Strait of Hormuz. A parasitic illness has spread to at least 17 states, prompting warnings from the CDC. It's called Cyclospora, a microscopic parasite from produce.
Experts urge us to thoroughly wash produce and our hands with soap and water. No deaths have been reported. The CDC also saying the source of the Cyclospora infections, which tend to occur in late spring and summer, have not been identified.
Fox's Jeff Monosso. Michigan hit hard by the outbreak with more than 1,200 cases compared to just 50 last year. America is listening to Fox News.
Of all the wireless companies in America, only one has 5 stars in every category from Consumer Reports, and that company is Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. Plus, no service contracts and no cancellation fees. Just phenomenal U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network. Dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
Point!
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace!
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly sunny skies and 89 for the high going through our Friday afternoon, but we'll keep an eye out for a couple of limited showers and thunderstorms. Tonight, clouds dominate. The evening, a return of shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly late night 73. Saturday, partly sunny, some fading showers and thunderstorms, 87, and Sunday, 87 and partly sunny. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 56 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance and installation, and heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. AirComfortService.com.
I'm Heidi Harris for Annie Frey today. She takes some well-deserved time off, and I get to hang with one of my favorite people in the radio business, and that would be Brad Range.
How many people do you know in the radio business?
I know like 3.
Okay. I was just wondering how I stacked up.
You and Ethan are right in the top two.
Hey, good company. I'm glad to be
Okay.
right there with him.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, it was fun working with you. We talked last hour about a father who really has shown the world what it's like to be a dad when he took, here's the thing. We talked about the dad who threw his son's Nintendo Switch out of the car window at 60 miles an hour because the kid was being bratty. Our parents would have had no problem with that. None whatsoever. And now it's controversial. A lot of parents are cheering this guy on. But the fact that it even makes news, that's interesting to me. What's that thing cost? I don't even know what they cost.
Nintendo Switch, a couple $100. They're not
cheap. No, really?
Yeah.
Wow. But how much would you pay to get a kid back in line who understands that dad follows through?
Here's the thing, though. Like, and I was talking about, like, that kid said, no, you won't, and the dad did it. If I wanted one back, the next one I would have to buy.
Oh, absolutely.
So, that would be something that another lesson to learn. It's like, okay, so here's the thing. Consequences have repercussions.
Right. And I'm going to come up with some extra chores like paint the house or something that you can learn how to do around the house to earn it or, work it off or whatever. Yeah, mom and dad are buying you another one. That's not happening. But speaking of social media and all of those things, here's a sad story out of Alabama. A woman by the name of Samantha Baker, 37 years old, was killed and her husband was severely wounded by their son, who went crazy on them, stabbing them. And the reason I tell you this story is because a lot of people believe, friends, people who've watched their Facebook page, neighbors, and people who had cameras who overheard part of the conversation, all believe that it was because, or certainly this was the final straw, the mother was putting very negative things on Facebook about her children. And one neighbor overheard her kid arguing with her. And she said, no, it's not real. That's not about you. That's not about you. And the truth is she's put a lot of things online about her kids, calling her kids feral, talking about them smelling and all kinds of other things. And the kid I'm not defending it for one single second. Kid just had enough. And it makes you wonder why parents do that. They do put a lot of things online that I think are just, maybe embarrassing for the kid later on. Maybe it's a 2-year-old toddling around, in their diapers or whatever. You think it's cute and they don't have the right to say whether that's online. And when they're running for Congress many years from now, somebody wants to see their pictures of them in the diapers. I mean, or something negative said because they're bratty. We've all been bratty. But terrible. Yeah,
posting somebody's entire life, your kids don't have a say in it. It's like one thing if you're posting what you're doing because that's you have agency. But you can't ask your kids, hey, whenever they get older, are you okay with all of these pictures of you as a kid doing kid things or whatever? They might not be. But also, those moments aren't for everybody. Those moments are for you and your kids.
Thank you.
Treasure,
Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with having a private family life. Those, I look at a lot of some of these influencers that are out there and they have kids, but if they post a picture of their kids are never facing the camera. It's always the back of their head or something like that. And it's like, this is a family photo, but we're holding the kids over our shoulder. They do a really good job of trying to keep their kids out of at least their kids' faces out of the limelight as much as possible. But don't use your kids for social media clout. That's crazy.
Well, at least 2 influencers that I can think of had children drown in the backyard pool, and their kids were a big part of their social media. And it makes you wonder, what were you doing? Posting and not watching the pool? Another story for another day. But yeah, people put, and we all know that Facebook, as one of my former producers used to call it, it's a highlight reel. A lot of people never put anything bad. I'm not taking a bad, I take a bad picture. I'm not putting that, when we drove across country and we stopped at various places, I wasn't posting pictures everywhere I went. I was like, I'm camping. My hair's a wreck. I'm not doing that. I don't feel the need to do that. I'll put a good one up, but I'm not putting the bad ones up and all that kind of stuff. Or bad anything. You have a fight with your spouse, put that on Facebook. But some people, they either use it as free therapy, throwing everything out there. Picture them with a tube sticking out of their arms in the hospital. Mm-mm. They do that. Or they are trying to portray their lives as being very different than they actually are.
Yeah.
And in the case of this woman, whose husband, by the way, was serving as a battalion commander with the 1184th Deployment and Distribution Support Battalion in Mobile, Alabama. The father survived, but I guess barely. I think it's in pretty bad shape. Couldn't believe that his kid was trying to kill him. But, and clearly the kid had other issues. Okay. But children, parents have such an effect on you psychologically that your parents can cut you down with one comment. The rest of the world can say whatever they want. You might not care. But when it comes to your parents, you want them to love you and you want them to, and some days you're not lovable when you're a teenager. You're just not. And she talked about her kids being feral, teenagers. Yeah, right? Teenage boys.
Yeah, just like things that you don't do, and cutting your kids down online is not one of the things that you want to do. That goes beyond like, okay, here's something that my kid did that was silly, but here's something funny. That goes beyond all that. That is malicious to just say such horrible things about your kids.
And it's psychologically damaging.
And for the amount of people that reaches, that might be the only thing that they know about your kids, and they don't know the whole story or who they are, and you just go out there for what? Social media clout and shape the whole narrative about it.
Yeah, I have a friend who's got 3 kids, and she's married to her high school sweetheart, and they're wonderful people in our church. And I remember one time she said to me about one of her kids, she said, if I wasn't married, he'd be in jail. Her son. and really he's a good kid, but he's got a good father, a good, strong father. And that was her point. And she loves her child dearly. But she just said this to me. She didn't say it on Facebook. But she made the great point that how important fathering is to keep that child in line and keep that child on the right track. And she's a wonderful mother too, but that, kids, they need that, but that's a private conversation that you share with somebody. That's, of course I'm putting in public, but we don't know her name. But yeah, it's just the idea that you put something on Facebook that's going to make, and why does that, what does that say about you? Does it say that you're a great parent because you put up with the fact that they're smelly and they're teenage boys? Well, yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
And that's some of the stuff that she put online and how bratty they can be and these kinds of things. And let me give you an example of one of the things that she said online. She said, it's National Sunday. I'm not posting sappy things like I've been seeing today. While being their mom is a blessing, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Brandon, he's a sweet guy. This is the one who killed her. But this mouth and his attitude. She said, I don't know where he got that from. He's a calm presence until he isn't. He marches to the beat of his own drum. And then she talks about her other son. She said, well, while these two may be absolutely crazy, I know that if I ever got in a bind, they're only one phone call away, blah, blah, blah. Now, if they'd only do their chores.
How old is the mom and the kids?
Mom was 37.
Okay.
And the one who killed her, I believe, was 16 or 17.
Man. 17.
And then I think his other brother was older. So she was a pretty young mom.
Yeah.
That's another part of it too, which there are plenty of young moms who don't do this kind of thing. And when I say young mom, a lot of young moms have grown up with social media. And many times they live vicariously through their children. Now, have you noticed that? And their children have achieved this or that, and they're posting it as if they're the ones achieving it, and the reality is they're not.
I see that most in sports. They do. There are parents out there that live vicariously through their kids' sports. Same thing. Post their kids' sports achievements and all that other stuff.
Yeah. My kid was a student of the month. My kid was this, my kid was that. Well, what about when your kid's bad? No, once again, I'm not saying you should post that either, but you're right. And then it gets braggy to that point.
Yep.
Yeah. It used to be the only people who knew the kid was a student of the month were, grandparents, close friends, people like that. Now everybody, and I think they're out there trying to brag about the achievements their child has. And I understand you're proud of your kid, but realize that when you put that out in the cyberverse, is that the right cyberverse, the universe? Whatever. It's out there for everybody to see forever. Once you put it online, it never goes away.
Yep. The internet is forever.
Yes, it's forever. And then your child's going to have to, it's nice but even when you put things about the kind of person they are as far as achieving something, still there are weirdos out there who are looking at your kid, looking at their age. Are they cute? This and that. My neighbor kid last night was actually walking around trying to sell books. She had some children's books. I guess she wanted some money for a trip. She's like 13.
Yeah.
And she said, I saw her across the street. I said, what are you selling? Oh, I'm trying to sell my old books. And do I need children's books? No. But I bought some from her. And I told her, I said, not to go in anybody's house, right? She knows that. Her dad and mom are on it.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I'm only talking to people out in their front yards. I'm like, it's 110 out here. We're not in our front yards. I just happened to pop my head out for a minute to let my dogs go to the bathroom, but it's 110. So good luck on wrestling up a lot of business. So that's why I bought like 4 books from her that I don't even need.
Yeah.
But I said, you don't go to anybody's house, right? She knows better than that. But and that's the problem is weirdos know who your kids are. They can look online. They can see this. And the next thing you know, they know far more about you than you'd be willing to reveal otherwise.
Yeah, I remember whenever there would be public service announcements. Don't buy your kids clothing with their names on it and stuff like that because you give somebody a way to say, hey, little Joey. Well, how do they? Right. They must know me because they know my name.
Right.
Well, you're basically doing that online.
You know what? That's a great point. That's exactly what you're doing. If you're not going to put your kid's name on a backpack, then you shouldn't be putting all their information online. How about the people who put information the day the kid's born? Height, weight, birthday, or not height, but I mean length, weight, birth date, full name, the day they're born. They have no say in anything. And somebody could go get a fake birth certificate from that. I mean, are you crazy? And they do it all the time.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about. People don't think about the way other people think. They in their minds are like, oh, people look at that the way I'm looking at it, which is, oh, this is cute and good for her. But there are weirdos and creepers out there, and they will look at that and go, I can use that information. And to the thing, like the internet has way more weirdos and creepers and gets access to them way easier than your kid's name on their backpack.
Absolutely. I had some weirdo the other day pop into my Facebook and try to talk to me. And he looked like he was in the military, and he followed me like a lot of people follow me. Heidi Harris Show, you can find me. And then he sends me something about how pretty I am. And it wasn't even, the English wasn't even correct. And I'm thinking, you're not in the military. And I'm thinking, get lost, get out of here. Don't DM me. Can you see the first thing on my profile says wife? Did you not read that? Get out of here. Yeah, you've got to be so careful, and some people aren't. And if you're giving them this information, just basically throwing it out there and saying, "Hey, here's my kid. This is how old they are. This is where they're the student of the month at this school."
Yeah.
How dumb is that? Okay, I'll stop ranting now. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales, and voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. Taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder, but our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
Gentlemen, Mark Cox here. When's the last time you actually felt like yourself? Victory Men's Health specializes in hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, and longevity. It's built for everyday men who just want to feel better and perform their best. They already have offices in Town and Country, Sunset Hills, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. They're about to open a new location in Glen Carbon very soon. It's a higher standard of care just waiting for you. Learn more at victorymenshealth.com.
Corey from Air Comfort Service? Why are you standing next to my AC?
I'm standing behind our work.
But it's 8 p.m. You're just going to stand behind my air conditioner?
Yeah, pretty much.
Could you turn off the sprinkler then?
Absolutely. At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation, we take pride in our work. If you need a new air conditioner or HVAC system, you can trust we'll install the equipment correctly. Plus, for a limited time, qualify for rebates up to $2,600 and 0% financing for up to 72 months. For a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Annie Frey Show is St. Louis conservative.
You know what I think is funny? I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. I want to make sure we clarify that because you wouldn't. I don't sound like Annie, do I, Brad? I don't sound.
No, you don't sound like Annie.
Nothing but love and respect for Annie, but I don't think I sound like her. But just in case, you're used to hearing Annie, just know that I'm Heidi Harris. You know what I think is funny is that they're talking about Kristi Noem divorcing her husband. I don't know anything about their marriage. But what I find funny is there have been allegations of her with somebody else for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But the headlines all say, ex-DHS boss Kristi Noem divorcing her husband after cross-dressing bombshell. None of them say he's offloading her because she's been dating somebody else for years.
Yeah.
Don't you find that funny?
Oh, yeah, I do. Because that's like when you read that headline and just in my brain it popped out. I was like, wait a minute. One of those has allegations of unfaithfulness.
Exactly.
And it isn't him. Now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I don't want to gossip about somebody's marriage, but I find it interesting that the media wants to portray it one way and completely overlook some other things that have been said. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she made herself a gigantic target, and the people in the media do hate her. So they're going to spin this in whatever way they can to cause as much damage to her as they possibly can. It's like, guys, she doesn't need help. She's got it.
I can't imagine living my life in that kind of a public way, when everybody knew your business and everybody was watching you all the time and all that. I mean, I can't imagine what that's like. I mean, anybody who's a public figure has to deal with that sometimes in some way, but to deal with it at that level every single day of your life, everybody's in your business all the time. I couldn't stand that kind of scrutiny. I would hate it.
Do you ever get recognized in public?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember and to set the table for this, right, I am a small producer on a mid-market radio show in the middle of the country. We've got our audience out here that knows who we are and stuff like that. So I wouldn't have thought, I will get recognized in public. But I was out at an Academy Sports, and I just heard from I was at a rack looking at some shorts, and it's like, "Are you Brad Range?" And I didn't know how to react.
So cool.
Well, I didn't know how to react because, we're a conservative talk show and we talk about politics and stuff like that. And there are some people out there that are like, "Are you this person?" And then they're angry. It's like, do you pucker or duck? And so it's like my response was, well, who wants to know? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. I watch on the chat all the time. It's like, oh, okay.
Aw.
So that was weird for me for the first time to have that happen. And then you talk about like where you are on the spotlight to the point where the whole country knows who you are. Couldn't. I don't know that I could.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't imagine. I've had weird things happen. I used to do a lot of cable. I did cable hits every single week on Fox and MSNBC for about 10 years, and Chris Matthews Show and Ed Schultz Show and Fox Things and whatever else. And I was at my house one time, and I saw this dog run by my house that I did not recognize. And so I'm like, oh, great, some stray dog lost. I got to go get the dog. So I run out in my pajamas, polka dot pajamas.
Oh, no.
I mean, I was dressed. I mean, they had like bottoms and a top. Okay. But pajamas nonetheless. I run down the street to get this dog. I'm able to secure the dog. Long story short, got it back to its owner. It indeed had gotten lost. Anyway, as I'm walking back to my house, there were people next door to my house parked and visiting somebody. They go, "Oh, Chris Matthews Show." And
oh, like, no.
I'm going to die. A, I'm in my polka dot pajamas. B, you know where I live. Right? That freaked me out. The living part freaked me out more. And I've only had one person, though, ever be nasty to me and follow me through the dog park yelling at me about being on MSNBC. But everybody else who ever saw me, mostly it was MSNBC people, would see me somewhere to drive through window or whatever. But they were always nice. I think they were more surprised to see you in person because they're not used to, whatever. They see you on TV and all of a sudden they see you like, wow, that's you. Other than that, they were always nice, except for the one crazy guy.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like, I don't know. I would be on headlines. Don't follow me through a park yelling at me. Don't do that.
Well, yeah, I kind of told him off, and some friends of mine were around me like, you better leave her alone. Yeah, but and then it happens at weird times. And I went to a coffee thing a while back with a friend, and I was in a dorky hat and my dog walking clothes, like sunscreen clothes, and I couldn't have looked worse. But my voice is recognizable to people who know me.
Yeah.
And I was talking. I went over to these people. They had a cute dog, and I was talking, and they go, "Oh, you're Heidi Harris," and I was like, "Of course I am," because yesterday when I looked good, you didn't see me. And I made a joke out of it because what else am I going to say? I look completely horrible and they know who I am. I'm caught because I talked, right? They wouldn't have known with a hat and the sunglasses if I was talking. And I'm never rude to them. I'm glad they say hello. I think that's you've got to be nice to people, always nice to people when they're kind enough to say hi. And that's kind of cool. Look at you, the big star now. Look at you. Are you Brad Range?
Yeah. Who wants to know?
Well, no, you're right to be cautious because there are people who could have a disagreement with something you said on the show, or Wiggins or Annie or something, and they want to take it out of you. But I honestly, other than one time I had somebody who was mean, and everybody else, my husband and I went to an Airbnb one time in Camden, Maine. It had like 8 rooms, and we're getting out of the car, and there was a lady unpacking her luggage, and she looks at me. Did I say 8 rooms? She goes, MSNBC. And I'm like,
are you kidding me?
In freaking Camden, Maine, with 8 people in this Airbnb. And obviously she's a liberal because she watches that show. And the next morning we went down, we had breakfast with her. That's my point. If we can all talk to each other, like human beings instead of screaming at each other, and we got plenty to say, all of us do. But when somebody sees you in person like that, and we had breakfast with her and it was fine.
Yeah.
And why does it have to be so adversarial all the time?
Well,
it doesn't have to be. It's like yelling. You know how you yell at somebody when your car window's up? But if you roll the window
and then
down.
you roll down, it's like everybody's nice.
Right. That's what everybody suddenly gets Midwest nice. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's like dogs. They yell, but then there's a fence. They'll bark at the fence, and then you move the fence away, and they're all quiet all of a sudden.
They go back around the fence, and you close it, and they start barking again.
Exactly. And I think if you could actually talk to people in a polite way and say, we may disagree, we may agree on certain things, like we all want to live in a safe country, we all want to have our kids educated, we all want this, but we diverge on how to get there. But let's go back to what we agree on, and let's talk about this. And honestly, every time people were nothing but nice.
When did it start that way? Because I've only ever been in radio and in political talk radio since Donald Trump has been in office. So I started in 2021. So this atmosphere is all I've ever known in this space. But, you talked about you were on cable news and doing hits and stuff like that for years before then. Has it always been that way? Was Donald Trump's election the catalyst for that? Or when did the maliciousness start?
Well, I think I think you don't have to be nasty. I mean, I was mostly on MSNBC, which I liked better, believe it or not, than Fox, because you'd be the only one saying what you were saying. I'm like, put him up, But everybody, Chris Matthews, all of them, except Joy Reid, who's a witch, all the rest of them were very, very nice to me. Always, every time. Ed Schultz, I was on a show many, many times. And because you can't take yourself too seriously. You got 3 minutes. You're not changing the world here, right? Say something concise, try to keep a smile on your face, have a little fun with it. And I guess Donald Trump it became nastier because of people hating Trump. And I think that's maybe because people don't like him on the right. But also, let's be honest, the establishment right can't stand him.
Oh, that's true.
Right. And that has added to it because he has shaken the apple cart in a way that other people have not. And of course, with the rise of social media and all that, Obama was the first one who wouldn't give up his cell phone, as you remember.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you tell me I can't have a phone, I'm going to have a phone, and that's part of it. And then Trump tweeting crazy things all the time has not necessarily made it better, but that's what we're allowed to do in America. Thank God for that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah, but why can't we just sit down and talk? I mean, some people you can't talk to at all. I realize that.
Yeah, there are people like that out there.
Yeah, but for the most part, I think if we could all have a conversation and go back to what we all agree on and then see where we diverge, I think that would make it a lot better.
Start giving people the benefit of the doubt. They believe what they believe, and what they believe is what they believe. It doesn't make them evil. It's interesting. We had a fairly popular actor in studio, I don't know, 2 months ago. And he walks in and he kind of looks around, and we knew his political leanings. We knew he was left, and so, but he was doing stand up and whatnot, and so we wanted to do the thing and promote him and talk to him because he's a high profile guy, and we just wanted to talk to him about his acting career. Well, he walks in and he looks around. Of course, if you're familiar with the studio, there's an American flag up and some other things. And he goes,
the offensive American flag. Oh, yeah. So offensive.
But it's like a sign, and it's like, these people are conservative. So he walks in, he's like, hi, Annie, blah, blah, blah. And talking, he's like, oh, this is a political show, isn't it? And she's like, it is. He goes, are you conservative? Yes, we are. Are you Trump conservative? And it's like, we support him. And he's like, but he's evil. And you go, what? you can't make a moral decision about supporting somebody like Donald Trump and call people evil. That's what shuts discussion down. And you don't even know why they support him. Like in the first 5 minutes of the conversation, you know that, oh, this person is a Trump supporter. They're evil. Same thing goes like if they were a Biden or Harris supporter. You can't look at them and say, oh, you support those people. Well, that's just evil. Stop. Find out why. And maybe you guys have the same ideas and, like you were saying, different ways of going as far as how to get to that end that you both believe in.
That's pretty funny, though. But my first response to that would be to look at the clock and say, how much time do I have?
Well, that was the thing.
Because I would ask him to elaborate. I would say, take a break, whatever we needed to do to give him time to elaborate on why Trump is evil. I'd be fascinated to hear what he had to say.
I mean, the intro music was playing as that went down. It's like, oh.
Right, of course.
But it was, it ended up being a great interview because we talked about the things we wanted to talk about, and it was a lot of fun. And you know, it was that. And then we would go to break, and then we'd have the political discussion in between, and then we would go back. But by the end, there was a mutual respect between the two. So it started off with, it's this, but by the end, it's like, oh, we each have different ideas on these things.
Right. And your definition of evil might very much differ from mine.
Maybe.
That's a part of it, too. But your point, let's all talk. Can we just talk? Can we sit down and talk and not yell at each other as much?
Yep.
I think that'd be good. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
Today's YouTube live chat poll, what is the biggest threat to America today? Is it Iran? Iran? I don't know what's the right way to say that, but Iran, Russia, China, or is it democratic socialism and the rise of that in the United States? We want to know what you think, and there's a couple ways you can get a hold of us. You can jump on Annie's YouTube page, vote in the poll there, leave us a comment telling us why. We're monitoring that, starring any responses to that. Also, you can text us, and Heidi's monitoring the text line, so your text will go directly to Heidi, 314-241-9797. So put that in your phone, save it as the Annie Frey Show. The text number is 314-241-9797. You text that, you can get a hold of Heidi today, or whenever Annie and Ryan are back, you can get a hold of the show. It's persistent, it's always there. But we want to know what you think the biggest threat to America is today. And those choices, again, are Iran, Russia, China, or democratic socialism. The time is 1:34. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
AC tune-up.
250 years of capitalism, private ownership, and rugged individualism. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men.
To hang out with y'all here. And always fun hanging out with Brad. You can follow me on all the socials, Heidi Harris Show, Heidi Harris Show, Heidi Harris Show. More importantly, you can follow 97.1 FM Talk on all the socials at 97.1 FM Talk. Fox and Friends read a fun little list of what the Democrat Socialists of America, what their goals are. I was looking the other day at the woman who's running for the governor of Wisconsin. I mean, they want government to raise your kids. They want everything free. I want free stuff. Brad, I want some free stuff. Can I have some free stuff?
Everybody wants free
Groceries?
stuff.
Free stuff. It's always such a popular thing, isn't it? Anyway, let's share a little what they did on Fox and Friends.
Well, hopefully it plays.
Well, these are the goals for the USA.
Yeah.
The Democrat Socialists of America's goals for the USA, supposedly.
Oh gosh, give me a second. I'll have to.
We don't have it. We don't need it. Don't worry about it. We can. You know what? I don't need it.
It's not playing. We did it. You don't know this, but we did a big renovation on this studio in here.
Yeah.
And we got all new computers, new screens, and every now and then I run into something that I can't fix.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to use an old Steve Martin line. You a Steve Martin fan?
Yes.
Old Steve Martin, like old classic album Steve Martin?
Yeah.
I don't need you. I can do this act alone. I often do. That's what he would say. So if something goes wrong, I just go, I don't need the gas. I don't need this. I don't need that. We just can move on. Anyway, I was watching.
I think I got it now.
Oh, you do have it? Okay.
Yes.
Believe me, I can.
Who is representing people of America on the Hill? They want to eliminate the U.S. Senate. They want to replace the president and the U.S. Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by a subordinate to Congress. They want amnesty for all immigrants. And they want to defund the Department of War.
This is according to a source inside the DSA.
Yeah, but the main point is that there was this massive talking point that this is just liberal states and, liberal districts where this is happening. I'm sorry. This is happening all across the country. And they have some platforms that a lot of young people and a lot of people that have grievances with the rich are going with.
Well, you know what? They don't like rich people. And what's funny is they always complain that some people are so wealthy and some people have nothing. Well, they don't understand that in communist countries, socialist countries, there are very, 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 very few people who have everything and everyone else has nothing. Whereas in America, we have something that throughout history didn't exist, which is, wait for it, the middle class.
Yeah.
Right?
The middle class, that's what people forget about, the middle class. That's what makes the engine of the economy run.
That's right. And I'm proud to be part of the middle class. I'm not a wealthy person, but I'm proud I'm a middle class girl, born and raised, working class dad, parents, and my mom was home with us, and that just was the life we had. And I'm grateful to be a middle classer. I'm good with that. But most places in the world don't have a middle class. Somebody has everything. You have nothing. Now, have you noticed all the push nowadays? You know how algorithms work and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand it better than I do. But, they're pushing certain agendas. We know that, right?
Yeah.
And all these people who try to make van life
entertaining.
And,
no.
Yeah. They want you to live in a van. They want you to shower at the gym. They want you to eat bugs, right? Own nothing. I mean, and people make it sound like it's appealing. I'm sorry. No.
What? Chris Farley had a whole joke about living in a van down by the river. And these people are trying to glamorize this thing. No, like the rise of this democratic socialism, like the people that think what they're getting when they vote for it, they're like, what we think is we want free stuff. So to them, the socialism means like, oh, free healthcare, student loan debt is paid off, big. So what they're describing is social programs, but they don't understand that democratic socialism is just socialism with Democrats strapped in front of it. It's the thing where the government takes over the institutions and the means of production and all that other stuff. They've lived so long in, like you were saying, middle class. They've lived so long in these upper middle class times that they don't really understand how good things actually are, and they're just a little bit frustrated with some other things in it, and so they're willing to throw away the whole system that just needs some tweaking and go with this socialism thing, which has never succeeded anywhere. And not only that, it's probably one of the biggest killers of people ever. I mean, 150 million people can be attributed, their deaths can be attributed to following Marxism.
Yeah. It's amazing.
No,
I
thank
interviewed
you.
a guy a couple of weeks ago from a Heidi Harris Show podcast, which you can find Audacy App, Heidi Harris Show. And his family escaped Czechoslovakia when he was about 10 years old. I'm talking over the Alps like the freaking Von Trapps.
Yeah.
Okay. And he has written a book about it. And I said, you should be speaking in every school in America, because unless you don't hear anybody like him who's escaped it talking about how great it is. You don't hear anybody who's escaped Cuba, where half the time they don't even have power on. You don't hear them talking about how great this is. It's only people who've lived in comfort and prosperity. Even if they're not wealthy, they still lived in a prosperous nation their entire life. There's nobody who's lived it who wants it.
Yeah, you don't see people in Miami making makeshift rafts to go south to Cuba, or people like, trying to cross over the border and go through Mexico and down through Central America to get to Venezuela. They're not interested in that. They say they want socialism, and that's where they have it, and they're not interested in actually going there and experiencing it. Some of the proponents, what's his name, Hassan Piker or whatever, that dude will go down there and talk about how great everything is, but you know what he ended up doing? He got back on the plane and he flew back to the United States. If it was great there, Hassan, stay there. Live in your utopia. But you know that it's not true, and that's why you didn't stay down there, because you could look around out your government-run hotel, which you're not supposed to be staying in. You could look out there and see the way the people are actually living in the squalor and the nothingness that they have because the government has oppressed them so badly.
That's right. That's right. And it's stunning to see. There throughout history, there have been people pushing for this kind of thing. Theirs aren't new ideas. But what's sad is so many young college kids, even parents who raise their kids right, send them off to college and they become communists a lot of times because that's what the professors are. But I would say that parents, you really have to teach your children about all of these things before they learn them somewhere else. I had a teacher when I was in high school. I was a junior in high school, and she taught, I don't even know what the class was, but I just loved her. And she liked me enough that the last year, my senior year, I was like a teacher's aide in her class. Crotchety woman. And I like crotchety people because they're real. Spare me the, sweet people. I like the crotchety ones. And she is the first person I ever heard say, I work 4 months a year to pay my taxes, blah, blah, blah. And I went, huh? Never crossed my brain. My dad was a hardworking guy his whole life.
Yeah.
He never talked to me about the realities of how much your taxes are being, how much tax money is being taken out of your paycheck, or where your tax money is going, or any of those things. Parents really have to sit their kids down and say, these are the principles. This is why we're lucky to be in America. These are what happens under communism, and this is what happens in America. No, everybody's not going to be rich under capitalism. Of course not. Yes, capitalism can be abused. We all know that. But at least under capitalism, you have a shot to make something of your life. And you don't under communism.
No economic system in the history of the world has brought more people out of poverty than capitalism. And you're right, there is cronyism, there is corruption, and that is to be shunned and frowned upon and called out. And that's why we have some form of government to put some guardrails up. But we don't want the government, like people are like, well, these evil corporatists, they're just after whatever. They're just trying to make the shareholders money. It's like, do you know who the shareholders are? It's people like you and me that have 401ks and mutual funds and stuff like that.
It's true. That's
true.
Yeah, and it's the greedy rich person, I see. So only rich people can be greedy. So you mean poor people or people who are lower income who want to live off me, get food stamps, get free rent, all these things. They're not greedy. You're not greedy if you're lower income. You can only be greedy if you're rich. Right. Okay, you want all my stuff. I call that greedy, don't you?
Yeah, if you want if you want it, go get it. You can in the United States. Go get it.
That's right. You can. It's like when they had the big housing crash of 2008, and people had bought houses. I'm just going to throw numbers out there, okay? They bought a house for $400,000. Too much, obviously, and then because it was inflated in 2007, and then it dropped in price to like $250,000. And what did they do? They walked away from their houses. Now, if they had held on to their houses a few years because they were making the same payment, then they would have been able to use the equity. And then they said, these greedy banks. Oh, these greedy banks, you walked away from a deal you made.
Yeah.
And right, you walked away. You're greedy because you didn't want to pay this because the house was worth less money. That was never in the contract. If it drops in value, you don't have to pay anymore. That was never in the contract. You're just greedy.
And the banks weren't greedy. The banks were told that they have to give subprime mortgages by the government. That whole housing crash was caused by a government program from the Democrat left. The idea that, you can't tell people that can't afford to pay these loans. You can't tell them, no, they can't have a loan. Yes, you can. That's insane. It's going to cause the housing market to crash, and there it goes.
Well, and a lot of these banks were covered in the loans. I mean, their butts were covered, and I understand that too. But regardless of whether their butts are covered, you made a deal. You bought a house for $400,000, and if it's worth $250 now, you don't just get to bail. And by the way, if it was worth $550 right now, you'd be happy to cash in. So who's greedy?
Well, and you wouldn't be calling the bank telling them you need to pay a higher payment.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, I have all this equity. I feel guilty that I'm making such a low payment. Yeah. So my point is greed is something that all of us are, we all have that, take 2 donuts in the break room, not just one. All of us are greedy. We're all greedy people. That's the truth. That's a human condition. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
Ryan Wiggins here with 97.1 Talk in Action for this month. Stop by the Mission Depot in High Ridge on Saturday, July 18th from 9 to 2. New suits, on-site hiring, VA benefits assistance, and free hot dogs. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
Have you signed up to be a preferred partner with Air Comfort Service yet? You can when you call 314-513-0091. If you need AC service this summer, call a company that's family-owned, operated right here in the St. Louis area, independent, just like our lovely country, America. Call Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation and talk to them about their preferred partner plan. You're going to get regularly scheduled heating and cooling system checks. You're going to have them check the entire system. It's going to happen twice a year. Discounts on diagnostic calls and repairs. Discounts on new equipment. Plus, you're going to get priority service. Starts at just $19 a month. Paying monthly, you are going to get the 12-month free. The service at Air Comfort Service is second to none here. St. Louis Magazine A-List Award winner, BBB Torch Award winner, Carrier's President's Award winner, thousands of 5-star reviews, plus one from me because they've serviced my home multiple times. Call Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
Homeowners, a lot of you are worried about one thing when it comes to selling. That's leaving money on the table. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria, how do you help sellers make sure they're getting top dollar?
The reality is, most homes don't sell for what they should. I see it happen all the time. They either price it wrong or they don't create enough demand. But with over 2,400 buyers in my buyers in waiting database and my exclusive pricing strategy, I'm able to offer my seller a 100% market value guarantee. And if I can't get you 100% of your home's market value, I'll pay you the difference. So you don't have to wonder if you left money on the table. You can sell with confidence, knowing you maximize your sale.
Make sure you get every dollar for your home. Call St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One question I'm always asked is, how did you become the largest injury firm in the world with over 1,000 attorneys and $25 billion in verdicts and settlements? One way was our financial strength. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. To prosecute a typical case costs up to $250,000 in case cost. We advance them all. Product liability cases can have similar costs with an army of lawyers on the other side. Automobile insurance companies have the resources to fight. Guess what? So do we. Many law firms simply may not have the financial firepower to work up your case the way you deserve. And we don't charge by the hour. No recovery, no fee. If you have a question about your case or wish to become a client, go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer. 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
In for Annie Frey. She takes some well-deserved time off. I got a very nice text about you, Brad.
Oh, yeah?
By the way, text line's always open, 314-241-9797. Easy number to remember, 314. Y'all know that area code. 241-9797. So just remember the 241-9797 part. And you can text us and we'll see it. Texter said, Brad just explained the young Americans' view of socialism better than anyone I've heard before.
Wow.
I know.
How did that happen?
You're a sage. Well, I think it's sad that there are young people who have never had to experience want. They don't even understand it. And so therefore, when you've not ever had to live with whatever the consequence is, it's easy to talk about how great it is. Oh, it'll be fine if I do this or that. It'll be fine if I just saw a story. I don't want to veer off on this today. I'll probably do a podcast on this later, but there's a title of the story. The woman, it says Wall Street Journal, more Americans are aging alone. One woman told us what it's like. And I'm not going to go into a big spiel about her other than she's decided when she was younger, she decided she didn't want to have to, deal with a husband and kids and this and that and the other. Well, now she's finding out at 65 and having to recover from surgeries alone and all these different things that life is tough. And my point being, it's easy to think this is glamorous, whatever it might be. Single life when you're 65 or children or not children or whatever. You think it's glamorous till you're there. And these kids who think the socialism is glamorous have never had to deal with the downside of socialism ever.
Yeah.
They go to the grocery store, they get what they want. They can drive what they want, work where they want to, marry who they want to, live wherever they want to, that they can afford.
Well, and you can see it in their comments about it too. Like whenever they're talking about, okay, so whenever this new socialist utopia comes in, what is it that you want to do? And they're like, well, maybe I could work in a ministry designing uniforms for the soldiers or something like that. It's like, that's not how that works. You don't get to say, I want to do this. You are assigned a role and you will do that.
You were assigned a role.
And most of it's going to be work in the fields or work in the mines.
That's right. People are going to assign that. Speaking of, you mentioned ministry. You were telling me that you had preached a sermon last week about Job and about suffering. And, it's such an interesting thing because once again, we're talking about people in a lot of cases who've never really had to deal with some of the major challenges of life. And they think that socialism, there's some kind of utopia. But you talked about the book of what, Job?
Yeah. I was talking about Job. One of the things, whenever I was going through it, because it's a book that's been on my heart, and I wasn't actually expecting to preach, but there's some circumstances, and so it was kind of like a last minute, Brad, can you come in and do this? And when I was going through it, people read the book of Job looking for answers of why do people suffer? Why? Job doesn't answer that question. It gives an example of why Job suffered, but there are numerous reasons why people suffer and why God allows people to suffer. The point of the book of Job is to understand how you are supposed to react and respond in the midst of suffering.
Right.
And it changes the mindset from you being a victim of whatever the circumstances are. And in his case, it was some pretty bad things. The Bible talks about how much livestock he had. He had a big family, he had a wife, all these other things. And in the course of a day, he lost all of it. And then his health was struck on the next day.
And then his friends were jerks hanging
and his
around,
friends came
not exactly encouraging.
They came over to help him out. And basically all they said is, here's what you're doing wrong and what you should do to fix it.
Right.
And that's
if you were
not
a better person, you wouldn't be going through this.
Right.
Right. They were real encouraging.
So there was all of that stuff that was going on. But the important thing to remember is that God has his purposes. And at the end of the book, God appears to Job because Job's wanting to know why. And he just asks him a bunch of questions that you can only ask from a divine perspective. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? What are the measurements of the universe? All of these other things. And the point is you can't comprehend my points and my purposes, but your job is to trust me and to know that I'm there. And so that is your response. If you're going through suffering, it's trust that God has a purpose in this and that it's not for nothing and that he'll be there. He'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. He's alongside you, but he does have a purpose in this and it's for his glory.
Right. Wouldn't it be weird if Jesus had never said anything like, behold, in this life, you're going to have suffering?
It would have been nice.
The world's going to hate you. What if Jesus hadn't said that? And we were like, well, people hate me. I followed you and people don't like me.
Yeah.
Now what? No, Jesus told them, you're going to have trouble in this life.
Mm-hmm.
Count on it. They hated me first. They're going to hate you. But what Jesus did, all kinds of things, one of the main things he did is he prepared people for the realities that life was going to throw at them. And I think a lot of times people aren't prepared for some of the realities. And when things get rough, they go, I don't know what to do now. A woman I interviewed once who wrote a book about parenting had the best line of anybody. Her name is Katie Faust, and she writes about parenting and other issues. And she said, you prepare your child for the road.
Mm-hmm.
You do not prepare the road for your child.
Right. That's a great line.
Right. And that's what Jesus was preparing us for all kinds of things and eternity too. But Jesus was like, look, it is going to get rough. So this is what I am going to give you. I'm going to give you all what I have to offer. And if you're trusting in me and you're keeping your eyes up above and not focused on all the little circumstances down here, long term, this is going to be much better for you. But and he was being honest about it.
Right. Right. You have we've got about a minute left here, but like the thing that I if I could convey to anybody is it's not about you. It's about God's glory and everything that in his purposes and his plans. And your job as a Christian, as a believer, is to focus in and trust on him on the way to the destination. The good times happen after you die, not before, depending on where you are on the timeline. But the good times happen in heaven, not now. I mean, you can have some good times, but you still live in the fallen world that's affected by sin. And things are going to be
right. And when you think
be.
About health issues and things like that, I'm at the point I just shrug my shoulders and go, and I'm pretty healthy. I'm very lucky, but I know a lot of people who are not my age or younger. And, I just go, this is a body of death. It's going to disintegrate. Can't do this anymore. Can't do what I did 10 years ago now, whatever. That's okay. I'm okay with it because I know where I'm going. Speaking of spirituality and those kind of issues, I found an interesting story, and I'm going to share with everybody on Axios. It's called The Rattled Generation. So apparently they're saying that we're all rattled because of things that are happening, circumstances that are converging. We'll talk about that, break that down coming up. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey.
Todd Civia of Civia Law is waiting for your phone call. 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL. I have a special offer for you. If you're looking for estate planning services, elder law needs, you can call Todd Civia at 833-995-WILL and be one of the first 10 callers right now, and you're going to get your initial strategy session free. It's a $300 value. That fee is waived when you call that number, 833-995-WILL, and talk to Todd Civia about getting your estate plan started. If you haven't done this at all, if you don't have a trust established, if you don't have powers of attorney for your health, for your financial decisions that need to be made, you need to make this phone call right away. Just get a scheduling on the books and mention my name and get that initial strategy session free when you call 833-995-WILL. He has a 2-week turnaround for completed documents from that initial sit-down appointment. So it's not something that's going to take forever, take a bunch of your time. It's going to save you an enormous amount of time and money when your estate doesn't have to go to probate. 833-995-WILL. Find him online at civialaw.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring, or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 kill majority rule?
Yep, creates minority rule, where just 5% of statewide voters in one district can block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass citizen-led ballot measures.
That's just dumb.
And when the politicians refuse to act, we've used citizen-led ballot measures to pass some big stuff, like lobbyist reforms, term limits for career politicians, and outlawing tax hikes without voter approval.
I'm not surrendering my power and rights to a bunch of politicians and lobbyists. I'm no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons or inch, prepare governance.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The evidence is overwhelming. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's what the lead prosecutor told the judge in Utah on day 5 of a hearing on probable cause to send Charlie Kirk's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, to trial. County prosecutor Chad Grunander calls the evidence devastating.
And the question needs to be asked, the purpose of continuing with testimony if it's long and drawn out. Of course, the defense has the right to call witnesses, but it needs to be within the context of this preliminary hearing.
Urging the judge to end the hearing and send the case to trial, but the judge allowed the defense to call final witnesses after putting new restrictions on cameras in the courtroom.
Yesterday, the courtroom camera briefly aired Tyler Robinson's alleged confession note, an exhibit that wasn't supposed to be made public. And as a result, the judge ruled that today the camera could not show any more exhibits, only the testimony.
Fox's Claudia Cowan at the courthouse in Provo, where that hearing did wrap up a short time ago, but a ruling on probable cause not expected until September. Mediators from Qatar back in Iran for another attempt at diplomacy, despite word that Iran still wants to kill President Trump.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Israeli intelligence recently shared with U.S. intelligence an assassination plot involving Trump. But the president told the New York Post today Israel did not alert to a new threat.
Fox's David Spunt in Washington. A mid-air crisis under investigation in Greece after a Ryanair passenger was partially sucked out of a plane window. The airline says the window dislodged in flight. Media reports in Greece say a piece of engine broke off and smashed the window, causing the cabin to decompress, but the airline has not confirmed that. The flight was en route from the second largest city in Greece to Germany, but returned shortly after takeoff. Ryanair says the plane was able to land normally, with one passenger receiving medical assistance. America is listening to Fox News.
Of all the wireless companies in America, only one has 5 stars in every category from Consumer Reports, and that company is Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. Plus, no service contracts and no cancellation fees. Just phenomenal U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network. Dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
Point!
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace!
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly sunny skies and 89 for the high going through our Friday afternoon, but we'll keep an eye out for a couple of limited showers and thunderstorms. Tonight, clouds dominate. The evening, a return of shower and thunderstorm activity, mainly late night 73. Saturday, partly sunny, some fading showers and thunderstorms, 87, and Sunday, 87 and partly sunny. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get not just your AC, but your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the Preferred Partner Plan. And be ready for the first heat wave. AirComfortService.com.
Annie Frey, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Rain.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweet.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey today. Always happy to be here with you and enjoying hanging out with one of my favorite people, Brad. Are you Brad Range?
Yes, that one. I'm that one.
I saw you in a store the other day. Are you that guy? Are you Brad Range? Whoa.
That was like 2 years ago.
Still cool though when someone recognized you in public,
Well,
throws you off a little.
It's a voice, and that's what throws you off. It's like, oh, you know what I sound like, and you heard my voice.
What I don't like is that if they know who you are and they don't say anything. Like for a couple of months, years ago, I went to football games because my friend's son was playing a college football. Went to every one of the football games. So 4 or 5, 6 weeks go by. I'm sitting in the same seat. This guy leans over from behind me. He goes, "Hey, I enjoyed your interview with the senator." And he hadn't said exactly. He hadn't said a word until then. I'm like, oh, you just feel like you're being observed.
Yeah.
That part's creepy. They're watching you and, but anyway, I can't imagine what it's like being Taylor Swift. But then again, she's in a black car. She's not observed, right?
They roll her in and out of the stage in a cart.
Right, exactly. Saw an interesting article I wanted to talk about on Axios. It's called The Rattled Generation, a Unified Theory of This American Moment. I'm not going to read you a column, obviously. But this is written by the people who started Axios, Jim Vandenheim and Mike Allen, who used to be with Politico. And they say basically, just things I highlighted I think are important. We're living through the most disoriented societal moment since World War II. Almost nobody in a position of power is explaining why or what to do about it. And talk about how Americans are wealthier, safer than they've ever been before, blah, 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 blah. People aren't reading. Michigan consumer sentiment just hit its lowest reading in a half century. Gallup finds most people think things will get worse. Trust in every major institution, government, media, organized religion, higher education, and science is at or near record lows. But what they're saying is, basically, in this article, is they're saying there's a three-part shock. One of them is the rise of social media. That's obviously a deal. The chaos of COVID and the rise of AI, political extremism, and information bubbles. In other words, you can sit there and never see anything you disagree with, whether you're on social media or whatever else, right? Never read a book you disagree with, never see a story you disagree with, which is not healthy for anybody. So they call it the perpetually rattled generation. One too unsteady and uncertain to believe things are truly good or getting better. And they're saying that's a new phenomenon for a typically optimistic, can-do society. Now, here's the important thing I want to expand on. They say for the first time, no one, even us, sometimes knows what to believe or who to trust. Now, you know what you and I are going to say. Ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding.
for sure.
Okay. But this is important, guys, because people are walking around, some people, confused. They don't know who to trust. I mean, God forbid, I voted for Trump 3 times. I'm glad he's my president, but he's the one talking about being assassinated more than he's ever talked about it. God forbid something happens to him. I don't put my trust in him. I've never put my trust in him or any politician. But I don't know what's going to happen to some of these people who think Trump is basically God. If something happens to him, God forbid, I don't know what's going to happen to these people, who they're going to trust in. You cannot trust in politicians. And if you're going to be rattled if somebody you trust in is taken off the scene one way or the other, right? I mean, they're not putting their trust in the right places is my point about this whole story.
Well, you look at it and the way they're describing the people, it's like, okay, so you get politically siloed. So what you think is reality isn't actually reality. People,
right?
Like millennials, for example, I don't know, Gen Z to a lesser extent, they have this tendency to like, okay, we don't want to answer the door. If somebody comes to our door, they hide. They don't like to talk on the phone. They just want to text. There's like that social anxiety, like a generational social anxiety. So they don't interact with one another. They don't interact with the real world. So the only thing they ever get is the world that's presented to them on the screens of their phone or their computer through social media and stuff like that. And that's controlled by the algorithms, and the algorithms, not necessarily maliciously, say, oh, you like this type of content? Here's more of it. Here's more of it, because all the algorithms are designed to do is to keep your eyes on the screen.
That's exactly right. Let's send you 50 more videos of dogs being rescued out of frozen lakes or whatever, because that's what you're into. And we know that you watched the entire one the first time you saw it, so now we're going to send you 50 more. Right.
Right. And so if you're in an algorithmic loop or tailspin where it's like you're watching stuff on the economy, but it's never good news because you like this particular person who always says something negative about the economy. All they do is they feed you more and more information about how bad the economy is, and that's what you feel. That's the only reality you know.
Right.
Same thing for war or violence or whatever the case may be. This generation it's the first time in forever that people don't know what the truth is, because the truth is so shaped by ones and zeros in a program and some server in San Francisco somewhere. And they don't go out and they don't interact with their neighbors. You were talking about it earlier in the show. We could talk to one another and we could see our political differences. We could also go outside and talk to people and see that the reality of the world isn't what online is saying it is.
Right. You have to have conversations like that person who was on Annie's show who was saying that Donald Trump is evil. My oldest friend since I'm 13 years old is black. And she and I been friends forever. And great lady. We disagree on politics. I don't care. When we were 13, we didn't talk about politics. But as we became adults, she got a little more liberal. I became more conservative. Okay, fine. Whatever. We're still friends. Never let that bother us. And one time she said to me, we're talking, and we normally don't talk about politics just because I don't talk about politics. I'm off the air much. And she said something about, well, Trump's a racist. I said, okay, I'm listening. That's what I got, crickets. I said, I'm listening. I've not heard any evidence of it, but maybe there's something you know that I don't. So I'm listening. Tell me, why do you say he's a racist? She could not cite one example.
No.
And I wasn't trying to win the argument. This is my dear friend, all right?
Right.
But I was just making the point, just like the guy who said to Annie Frey, well, Trump is evil. Well, can you explain what you mean by that? Because I'm listening. I'm willing to listen to you. Maybe I missed something that he's done that's evil, that you view as evil. I'm willing to be educated here. But most people just want to yell and hold up a sign, and they don't really want to have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
And that's why you have an entire generation that isn't exposed to the reality of the world. It's just whatever their algorithm is. And then this article says that they're rattled. They don't know who to trust, because when they do finally meet reality, it doesn't line up with what they've been told is reality on their digital devices. And then nothing makes sense anymore. And I don't know who to trust.
Yeah, they're also saying, once again, in this column that was on Axios, they're saying the result of this 20-year daisy chain of events, they're talking about AI and all the different things that have happened, okay? The result of this 20-year daisy chain of events, a public with less hope, less trust, fewer friends, and fewer people to look up to for help. Well, I would say start by getting with God. Looking at what God's got to offer. Buy a Bible, pick it up, read it. I saw a guy at the store the other day. I was at the bookstore and I was buying another Bible. I have more than I need, but you never know when they're going to stop allowing you to buy them, right? And so he was a young guy, and I could see that he was looking for his first Bible. We had a real nice conversation, and I recommended a couple things to him. Not that there are all kinds of translations that are equally good. I'm not getting into that. But I said, well, you don't want a hardback because those are uncomfortable if you have to read them for long periods of time, and things like that.
Yeah.
But he was just a nice young man who was looking for his first Bible, and I was thrilled to see that, and I was sensitive about it. I didn't jump in his face. Hey, you buying your first Bible? What do you I didn't get into that. But it was nice to see him doing that. And then there are books in the bookstore clearly that I don't agree with, or that I would never read or whatnot. But God bless America that we still have the ability to buy a Bible, buy whatever your religious book is, buy something that, if you want to read science fiction or whatever you're into, you can still buy that in America. And I'm grateful for that every single day. But if people are rattled by what's happening, they're not looking in the right place, is the point you and I are making.
Right.
The rattled generation. And remember during the COVID, when they tried to limit all of our freedoms, what did they not want us doing? They didn't want us going to church. Go to a liquor store.
Yeah.
Can't go to
wild.
church.
Yeah, don't
right? Go to Walmart.
Don't you get with other people.
Exactly. Not only do you not get with other people, but we don't want you getting with other people because we don't want you to put more trust in them than you do us. Which, by the way, when Jesus was walking the earth, what were the religious leaders saying? Well, if people believe that guy, they're not going to trust us. They said that. This is nothing new, people. Nothing new. And government tried to do that during COVID. Well, we don't want you going to church. Oh, you can't go to church because you might die or kill somebody's grandmother that you never met if you go out in public, right? They don't want you trusting God. They want you trusting them. Trust Fauci. Don't trust God. Well, yeah, right. There's a guy who should have Nuremberg trials. But it's important. I just think that it all goes back to what's important to you and what you look to in times of trouble, because we have it really good right now. Yeah, I mean, I know times are tough and expenses are higher. I understand all that. I buy groceries too, guys. But we still have tremendous prosperity in this country, and I'm grateful for it. But things could get real rough with Iran, with anything, where it's on our soil. And that's when we have to know that at the end of the day, God's got a plan. I mean, if I didn't think God had a plan, some of the crazy stuff that goes on politically and nationally and internationally, I don't know what I would think. You know?
Yeah.
And so we don't say this to be judgmental or preachy with anybody. We're saying it because we do feel like you should give this a try. How about that? Just, you're going to find answers there that you're not going to find in politicians or in a political side, right or left.
Yep.
You know, I was speaking at an event right before Trump got elected the first time. And this woman got up and she goes, "Trump's going to save us." And I said, "No, ma'am, he will not." I said, because if he could save us, he could destroy us. He doesn't have that power.
Yep.
I'd like him to be our next president, but I don't say he's going to save us, because that never, ever put your trust in princes.
Yeah.
I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
See website for details. BillsHappen.com is not a lender. It does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, everything is so expensive, and our bills are piling up.
You're telling me credit cards are maxed out, rent is due, and the car payment's right around the corner? We need some extra cash.
We should do what my friend from work did. She went to BillsHappen.com and got the money she needed the next day.
Our credit is not great. Are you sure that would work for us?
BillsHappen.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with all credit types get up to $5,000.
Sounds like it's going to be a hassle.
My friend said it was super easy. She did it right from her phone during her lunch break.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan for up to $5,000, and your cash can hit your bank account the next day. BillsHappen.com's lenders have millions of dollars to lend, regardless of your credit history.
Guess what? I went to BillsHappen.com, and we're getting our money tomorrow.
Wow, that's fast. Problem solved.
If you need extra cash, go to BillsHappen.com. That's BillsHappen.com. BillsHappen.com.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Annie Frey is St. Louis conservative. This segment of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by All Financial.
Hold up. Check it out.
sports and local.
Ethan's Region.
Got me up. There we go. That's it, I guess. Ethan's Region. They get weirder and weirder every single day. Hello, Heidi Harris.
Hello, Ethan. I'm so glad to see you, my friend. How you doing?
I am doing well. For those that do not know, back in the day when the Heidi Harris Show was on every Sunday night, I was Heidi's producer for
That's right.
at least a year, probably, right?
Yeah, something like that. A couple of years, I think. Yeah,
So-
it was fantastic. We had a great time.
Always enjoy when you get to fill in and getting to listen to you. And, well, it has been a very busy past few minutes in St. Louis sports news. We will get to that in just a second. Before that, going to fill you guys in, if you haven't already heard, on what happened last night for the St. Louis Cardinals. A very forgettable series for the Redbirds. You don't see 5-game series occur very often during the regular season, but because of some rainouts, that is what ended up happening between the Cards and the Brew Crew. And the Brewers, to say the least, got the best of the Cardinals, winning 4 of 5. They won last night by a final of 8-4. Jumped out early against the Redbirds, a 6-0 lead after 3 innings. Jake Bowers, a 3-run home run. Bryce Terang also hit a home run as well. And like I said, 6-0 lead early. The Cardinals would try and climb their way back into it. Jordan Walker would hit his 22nd home run of the season as his impressive first half comes to a conclusion, or nears its conclusion, on Sunday. Unfortunately, though, it was not enough. Andre Palante surrendered all 6 runs, his 6th loss of the year. And now the Cardinals will finish out the first half of the season against the Atlanta Braves. Kyle Leahy will go for the Redbirds tonight. Chris Sale, who's been very good for Atlanta, will start, and that will get underway at 7:15 this evening. Now, for the big notable news in St. Louis sports, the Cardinals have decided to lock up their young star, J.J. Weatherholt, for the foreseeable future, an 8-year, $112.5 million contract extension for Weatherholt, who, as of now, is the National League Rookie of the Year favorite.
8 years.
8 years.
Woo.
So this, I believe, now there's still some question marks with the CBA, the pending lockout and all of this. One of the things that has been negotiated back and forth is how long will entry-level contracts be. Right now, I believe they are 5 years. There's been talks about them going down to 3 years. Either way, this will buy out some of those entry-level contract years as well as a portion of free agency. So I believe that right now this would buy out 3 years of free agency. But the Cardinals being able to lock up J.J. Weatherholt for $14 million a year is, in my opinion, an absolute steal. So great on Chaim Bloom, great on the DeWitts getting this done. This is a great day for the St. Louis Cardinals being able to lock up J.J. Weatherholt. Pretty excited
I was
about
going to
this.
say,
Brad.
that sounds like a really good deal, doesn't it?
In today's day and age of baseball, signing unproven players, signing guys earlier and earlier in their careers is becoming more and more of a popular commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Taking that gamble, being willing to take the risk, knowing that if you wait a few years, then you are potentially risking costing yourself tens and maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars. And in this case, I think that the Cardinals may have saved themselves close to $80 to $100 million by getting this deal done now.
Because I was thinking about that. I was at the game last night, which was, to Ethan's point,
As was I.
A clunker. But it was fun to watch that home run. That Jordan Walker bomb was the highlight of the night for me. But I was thinking, but it's like J.J. Weatherholt is clearly a next-level athlete, clearly very good. And it's like, man, will he stay here? This answers that question.
Yeah, it was clear that he really has enjoyed playing in St. Louis. Now, he's only been in the league for 3 months or so, but you mentioned, you can already tell the kind of player that he is, and I agree. It's pretty clear just based off of what we've seen in these early months, and that was never really in question when you talked with people about just how mature of a hitter he was in spring training last year, how mature of a hitter he was in the minors these past couple of seasons. So super excited. Just a little bit more information on this deal. There were several people that announced this. Jeff Passan, Katie Woo was in there, John Heyman as well. Jeff Jones tweeting saying that Paul Goldschmidt's 5-year, $130 million extension is the largest financial commitment in Cardinals history to date. This is right around there. So a little bit less than this on the it is less than this term year by year. But as far as the Cardinals being willing to lock up someone so young, this is the first time we've ever seen St. Louis do this. And this isn't something I don't think they would have done when John Mozeliak was at the helm in 2025 with Heimblum being the new guy in charge. This is totally a sign of the times and how things have changed.
Yeah, when you said 8 years, it's like, yep, different front office now for sure.
An 8-year deal, assuming it starts next year, would buy 3 years of free agency under the current rules. It would get him to free agency at 32, and there is a max out value of $132 million. I'll have to get more information as to what exactly that means. I'm assuming that means with incentives and whatnot. But yeah, this is super exciting for the St. Louis Cardinals. I am giddy over this because with his age now, he's 24 years old now. There could be you could make the argument that maybe he didn't want to sign an extension because of how it would have played out with free agency. 32 is pretty old to be hitting free agency for the first time. He maybe could have made a little bit more money on the market if he would have signed a 6-year deal or a 5-year deal, but then the Cardinals don't really get that extra value out of it, holding him out for some of what would be the prime season. So J.J. Weatherholt going nowhere. He's going to be around for a long time. Big win for the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis is this is not the newest information, but over the past several weeks, this has been announced, and we haven't really talked about it yet, so wanted to touch upon it. But St. Louis is expected to become the home of America's next generation fighter jet. Senator Eric Schmidt recently visited Boeing's campus in Berkeley to celebrate the F-47 program, which supporters say could bring thousands of jobs and strengthen the region's role in military aviation. The F-47 aircraft is a part of the Next Generation Air Dominance program and is classified as a 6th-generation fighter jet. Boeing's currently building a new 1.2 million square foot facility near St. Louis Lambert International Airport, where the aircraft is expected to be produced. So, I don't think we had discussed this yet on the show, but this is a big win for St. Louis that this is getting done here.
Well, it's super interesting, too, because it continues that legacy of building America's premier fighter jets here. The F-18 was built here. The F-15 Eagle was built here. And now the F-47 is going to be built here. And like you said, first 6th gen. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the F-22 Raptor is a 5th-gen fighter. It was designed in the 80s, and it is considered to be the premier air superiority, air dominance aircraft. And this F-47 is supposed to be heads and shoulders better than that. So it's just the next generation.
Yeah, I would be curious of what kind of upgrades an F-22 compared to an F-47, but more so the 5th to the 6th generation. Yeah. I mean, that means that clearly there are some serious technological upgrades that'll be.
You're talking about AI integration with drones and whatnot, and like a pilot will have wingmen that are unmanned drones, and stealth technology's gotten better, jammers, all that other fun stuff.
It's going to be incredible. And think of all the things they're learning now, bombing the heck out of Iran. Look at all the techniques they're employing, all of the things they're learning. This is all going to go into the F-47. It's going to.
100%. Hey, a couple of things to be looking forward to. in the month of August, about a month out from both of these events. The first one, blues music is once again going to be taking the stage along the Mississippi River. The 11th annual Blues at the Arch Festival is returning from August 14th to August 16th. The free 3-day festival celebrates St. Louis's deep blues heritage with a lineup of nationally recognized performers, local favorites, and educational programs designed to highlight the city's influence and connection to the genre. It goes on to share some of the different artists that will be in attendance: Toronzo Cannon, Tuli Bray, some of the notable ones. And then Saturday's activities over that weekend will end with a fireworks show as well. So Blues at the Arch kicks off at 4:30 on Friday, August 14th, resumes at 1:30 on Saturday and Sunday, and admission is free. The other event, real quick before we wrap, one of golf's biggest prize tournaments is coming to St. Louis. At Belle Reve Country Club, the BMW Championship is going to be taking place from August 18th to August 23rd. The best players on the PGA Tour are going to be returning for the tournament. It's the first time in 18 years that the club will host the BMW, though Belle Reve played host to the 2018 PGA Championship, which was one of the most notable golf events, I would argue, over the past decade. It was really where Tiger Woods made his rise back to getting into the mix, finished second in that tournament, and shortly after would win the Masters. But that was really his kind of the start of his comeback, and some of those notable shots of him walking the 18th and just the crowds of people following him. So hopefully this ends up being really good for the region, and I have no doubt that it's going to draw massive crowds as some of golf's best, Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, and others will be competing at the BMW Championship in August 18th to August 23rd. Super excited for that.
Very cool. Thank you, Ethan. Great talking to you as always.
Always a pleasure, Heidi Harris.
My friend. And you're still doing your play-by-play. I know you're great at that. If anyone's had a chance to hear you, I mean, you just rock at that.
Very kind words. I appreciate
We
it.
were saying that behind your back. Brad and I were saying that even behind your back earlier today.
Yeah.
Show, Brad. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
Today's YouTube live chat poll, what is the biggest threat to America today? Is it Iran? Is it Russia? Is it China? Or is it the rise of democratic socialism? We want to know what you think. You can text us at 241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. Leave Heidi a message telling her what you're voting and why you're voting it. And we might read that message on the air. The time is 2:35. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
I'm Heidi Harrison for Annie Frey while she takes a couple of well-deserved days off. Here with Brad, one of my favorite people in the broadcasting business. You know, I've been watching more information coming out about the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing, which ends today, apparently.
Yeah, I think
And
it just
I don't
wrapped.
know. I know there are some people who think that he didn't do it, and there are. I mean, you've seen those crazies on
Yeah,
X, right?
that
With the
irritates me.
videos. You know, what's amazing to me is they've got so much information on him. They've got video of him all over the campus. They've got his roommate talking about the notes that he sent him and how he told him to look after. Remember, Tyler Robinson wasn't caught right away, right? So he
Right.
called his roommate or texted his roommate and said, look under my keyboard. There was a note, this and that. The note said, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. And, you know, I guess these two were in love with each other, whatever. That's really not pertinent. But they've got all this information on this guy. And I don't understand the people. Listen, I think there are always things we don't know about any event that transpires. But the people who are trying to make money off of this and have tried, and by the way, the people who have tried to make money off this don't have any proof of their allegations. You know, it's like I just did, and I'm going to shamelessly plug as this part of this conversation, doing a podcast now called Vegas Crime Files. And it's, check it out on the Audacy app or anywhere you get podcasts, Vegas Crime Files, firsthand accounts of what's happened. And the most recent one is about the mass shooting in Vegas that killed 58 people, where someone was shooting out of the Mandalay Bay Hotel in 2017 and shooting down onto a concert venue. Hundreds of people injured, 58 people killed, 2 people died later. And I had somebody, I've had all kinds of people say all kinds of things about it. Well, you don't understand. There were multiple shooters in multiple hotels and this and that and the other. And I had somebody the other day on X say to me, well, you know, you don't understand. They took all the phones away from all the bartenders and the dealers at such and such hotel. I said, I've just give up, Brad. I finally said, really? I said, well, can you do me a favor? If you have anybody you know whose phone was taken away from them by the cops or FBI, can you please let me know? Because I'd love to talk to them.
Yeah.
Crickets. They all heard, they think they are, you know, coming up with ideas, but nobody has any evidence.
Yeah. And that's the thing with, well, and like, there's a lot of, I don't know, the conspiracy theories surrounding the death of Charlie Kirk, the murder of Charlie Kirk are just, they range from mind-numbingly stupid to like easily destroyed with just a modicum of common sense and easy thinking. But then like everybody becomes a ballistic expert. Everybody, and it's like, you guys, I'm not a ballistics expert, but I know what you're saying about this bullet is not true. And I also know that a 30-06 and a 30-06 aren't the same thing. It's the same caliber, but one round, one load, there's different loads, there's different jackets, there's different all sorts of things, grain on the bullet. It's just all sorts of variations. And you can't just say, oh, well, if it was that round, then it would have done this. No, because you didn't even know what the particular round was.
Right.
And the other thing is, too, is it really that hard to believe that one crazy leftist motivated by, you know, hysterics or whatever it was? I mean, when you look at the text messages and stuff like that, he said this is the type of evil that can't be negotiated with, only put down, or whatever the
right. Charlie Kirk is promoting hate and, you know, that this and that. It's just all nonsense.
Is it really that hard to believe? Because somebody did this with the president in Butler, Pennsylvania, that they could get up on a roof and take a shot.
Right.
And people are like, it would take years of training to make that shot. No, it wouldn't. And I'll say this too. Whenever people go to assassinate people, they don't aim for the throat. They aim for the head. That's what they aim for. I would venture to guess that isn't even where he was aiming, and he did miss his shot. He just didn't miss it by enough to miss Charlie Kirk all the way.
Right. And by the way, Charlie Kirk was pretty much sitting still other than the times he would lean down and pick up the microphone.
Right.
It was interesting the way he would talk. He wouldn't hold a mic like you and I would if we were out speaking in public or something. He'd put the mic down and then pick it up to respond to people. I thought that was interesting. I don't know what that doesn't mean anything about anything. But and there's a guy who was standing behind him who had a white shirt on and a white hat, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, see, look, he's signaling to somebody else." Remember that whole conspiracy?
Oh yeah.
And that guy happens to be named. You probably know this, but in case anybody doesn't, his name is Frank Turek. And he wrote a book called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, among others.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great apologist. He's been speaking in schools and doing what Charlie's been doing for decades. Okay?
Yes.
Great guy. They had the chance to interview him multiple times. And one of the things that he mentioned, he came out, I don't know, maybe a week after Charlie was killed, because he was pretty traumatized. Not only seeing somebody he really loved and admired killed right in front of him, but also, they were conspiracy theories about him.
Yeah.
And he came out and talked about it. And he said that when he walked in with Charlie, that day to that venue, he said, "I don't like this. I don't like it." He just didn't like the setup of it. He didn't feel like it was safe.
Yeah.
There were too many spots where you could see somebody. And so I'm not, trying the case here. And we're going to have a lot more information to your point about what a 30-06 does and this and that. All the ballistic stuff, much more of it's going to come out during the trial.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
This was just a preliminary.
Well,
Do we have enough evidence to go to trial? Yes, we do.
And they have his DNA. They have the fragments of the bullet. They have all of those things. Everything that they said that they wouldn't have, they have. They do. Multiple camera angles of this man on campus. They have him. Yeah. This is what's crazy to me. They're like, well, where was the gun? When if you watch him walking in, he's walking with a limp. And he goes up the stairs and he steps up with his left foot and he never bends his right leg. Sets that on the next step. Bends his left leg. Where do you think that rifle is? Down that right pants leg. You can't bend your knee whenever you got a rifle in your pant leg.
Right. And for people to come out and make all of these accusations and allegations about what happened when they had zero proof of their case. I mean, all the information hadn't come out on our side. And when I say our side, those of us who believe this guy was a shooter, all the information hadn't come out yet because it hadn't been released.
Yeah.
So these people want to fill the gap with whatever kind of nonsense they do to try to get clicks or followers.
Yeah, and they'll cover up the nonsense with, "I'm just asking questions."
Yeah, right.
Well, why don't you ask questions that are actually pertinent to what happened?
Yeah, you're not trying to just get followers by casting aspersions on Charlie Kirk's widow.
Yeah.
Poor girl. I can't imagine what that
Oh,
girl's
that Heidi, Annie asked us about this whenever this preliminary trial started, and she's like, "What are your thoughts on this? Are you going to be watching it? Are you going to be tracking it?" And I was like, "I am. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to be like true crime watching it, but I am going to watch it and see what's going on because I'm still angry. I'm still angry about them killing Charlie Kirk. He was the nicest one of the pundits, the influencers on the right. He was the nicest one. But what really gets me is his kids deserve to grow up with their dad.
I know.
And that's like, I saw, that we were on air the day that it happened, and I saw the, scrolling through trying to get what the latest was, and then seeing the footage of it and the close-up footage of it, and you go, "Oh man, that is terrible." And but then you scroll again, and it was like 2 days or so before he was on Fox and Friends in the morning. And there was a behind-the-scenes camera footage of his little daughter running up to him to give him a hug. And it's just like,
that was so great.
I'm so mad about that. I am so angry about that because it didn't have to be that way.
And he was a nice guy. About, 8 months or so before he was killed, I emceed a dinner where he was the keynote speaker. And nicest guy in the world. Absolutely very, very nice, very unassuming. Erica was there. I didn't get a chance to meet her because I was emceeing, because I was up doing stuff all the time. But I know she was there, but she never made an issue of herself. She never went, "Oh, look at me, I'm here." None of that. I know she was just sitting at the front table and he was doing what he was doing, but just the nicest kid. And it just broke my heart.
Yes.
That he, was just trying to do the right thing. But you know what my takeaway with Charlie Kirk is that this is a guy who lived life to the fullest. And when I say to the fullest, I don't mean he was involved in all kinds of crazy stuff like some people's definition of live life to the fullest. This is a guy who lived life to the most meaningful. The amount of stuff that he crammed into that very short life was incredible. None of us, nobody knows how much time we're going to have on this planet. We could be gone tomorrow. And he packed a tremendous amount of truth and effort and great stuff into that very short life. And that is something that we all should be mindful of, because the most precious thing we have is time.
Yep. That's all you have.
He can't look back on his life and have regrets that I didn't do this or I didn't do that. He did a tremendous amount, and hopefully that movement will continue. I hope it does. He certainly got some conversations going with people, and he always handled them well and was always polite with people who disagreed. And by the way, Frank Turek said that when he got to know Charlie reached out to him, and then he got to know Charlie, and Charlie would quiz him all the time. What do I say about this? How do I respond to that question? Because Frank Turek had been doing the same thing for decades, talking to college kids. And so I just love the fact that they had that relationship. And I love the fact that Charlie did so much good in the period of time that he had. And that's what all of us, hopefully the legacy all of us can leave in some way. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
America is that shining city on the hill, such an unprecedented beacon of freedom for the world. People risk their lives to get here, and it's worth celebrating America.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
When the rain starts to come down, you get that pit in your stomach because it's going to come into your basement as well. You got to get over this by solving the problem once and for all. And I know from a past home where we had to get basement waterproofing done that it took a little bit for the forecast to show rain and for me to feel like I don't have to worry about this anymore. Well, with Home Shield Foundation Repair at 314-271-9900, you call Matt Hayes, call his team, and have them look at your basement water situation and give you the solution, the explanation, the estimate that will give you confidence to go forward and get it solved once and for all. It comes with a lifetime warranty. But here's the other thing. Every time after the job is done and your basement doesn't leak anymore and you get all of that usable space back, the cool thing is that when rain is in the forecast, initially you're going to get that pit in your stomach, and then you're going to have the relief because Home Shield Foundation Repair solved it once and for all. Find them online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSupercenter of St. Louis.com. That's Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. Creates minority rule, or just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I'm no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Petty 4 buttons are inch per care governance.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey, enjoying my afternoon here and in giving Annie some time off, which we're always happy to do. You can follow me on all the socials, Heidi Harris Show, Heidi Harris Show, Heidi Harris Show. Have you ever heard, Brad, about the cycles of freedom? They call it a freedom cycle. It has 7 sequences that people go through, societies go through, especially societies like ours.
I don't think so.
Okay, in 1787, this was created by a Scottish economist named Alexander Tytler. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And you probably know the average age of the world's great civilizations has been about 200 years. We made 250 by the grace of God, right? Weren't you proud to be an American last weekend with all those fireworks?
that was
displays,
great.
Tall ships and flyovers.
The tall ship parade?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Loud
that
and
was
proud.
happening. That was so cool. So cool.
Amazing. We were loud and proud, weren't we, last weekend?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I hope we were insufferable to the rest of the world.
I hope so, too. I stayed up to watch the Trump thing. I missed what
Me
happened
too.
in Vegas because I was in the house watching Trump.
I stayed, I saw that, and then he's like, we're going to do it. And then I watched, okay, so it was Dana Perino, Brett Baer, Harris Faulkner, and Brian Kilmeade on the air for Fox that's where I watched the fireworks.
Right.
And to watch their reaction and them react and respond, that was crazy fireworks. I can't imagine what that would have been like to be there.
How about that white guy singing YMCA?
Yeah.
That military band. He was actually trending on Twitter.
They were so good.
They were so good. Who needs those liberal musicians? We have our American military folks. Anyway, it was great. It was great to be an American. I'm just going to run these by you and just see where we are in America.
Okay.
Okay. You run from think of America's history. You go from bondage to moral certitude.
Okay.
From moral certitude to great courage. Yay, that's us, right?
Okay.
From great courage to liberty. Yay, that's us.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
From liberty to abundance. Woohoo!
Well, yeah,
that's
we're
us.
there.
From abundance to selfishness.
Yeah, getting there. Yeah, we're there.
From selfishness to complacency.
Yep. Yep.
From complacency to apathy.
Apathy. Yeah. I don't know if we're
From
there yet.
apathy to we're
We're that's might be where we're getting to.
I think so. And from apathy, you go back to dependency.
Mm-hmm.
And from dependency, you go back to bondage. How many people in this country don't even want to be free? Because freedom requires responsibility. You have to actually take care of yourself and make decisions on your own life. Where it's so much easier sometimes to have government running everything, and then you can just blame government. Let me give you an example. This guy I interviewed a couple weeks ago on my Heidi Harris Show podcast. He's the one I told you literally climbed with his family over the Alps out of Czechoslovakia, like that, found traps when he was about 10 years old to get out of there. Okay. And he said that he came to America, they finally made it here, became a citizen, built his life, blah, blah, blah. He became a sports scout for hockey teams, okay? So he goes back to Czechoslovakia, so 20 years later. And he talked to a lot of people he had known before who some of them actually missed the government before.
Oh,
because
yeah.
now they had to make decisions for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And
you know what?
He was shocked at that.
I think we saw that during COVID. We went through COVID. I think that number was higher than I ever expected it to be because whenever we went through COVID, there were people that were still like, no. Let's not open things up. Let's keep everything locked down. Let's just keep it locked down. I don't want to have to go anywhere and I'm safe. And it's like,
the laptop liberals who could actually make a living. Meanwhile, the people who go to restaurants who have to make their living couldn't survive. But that was okay because some laptop liberals telling you need to stay home.
Yeah.
Because you're going to kill somebody's grandmother that you've never met.
What? And it turned out that that wasn't even true.
Of course it wasn't true. Of course it wasn't true. Asymptomatic spread was a lie. My mom and I had that conversation. I said, Mom, I won't come around you if I'm sick.
Yeah.
I said, I won't, but I'm not getting shot. Why won't you get the shot? I said, Mom, because I don't know what's in it. And you might live you might not live another 20 years because she was already terminally ill. I said, you won't live another 20 years. I might, and I don't know what's in that. I don't want to be sick.
Yeah. Yep. And then the other side of that then was, it didn't even do what they said it was going to do.
Of course not. Shocking. Government lied. Are you accusing government of lying, Brad? Range?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I do that from time to time.
Shame on you. Let's talk about the poll.
Charged.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Okay, yeah. Today's YouTube live chat poll is what do you think the greatest threat to America is? And the options I came up with were Iran, Russia, China, and democratic socialism. Those to me seem to be the biggest four things that I hear people complaining about. Heidi, which one do you think is the greatest threat to America?
Of those four, do I think it's something? Do I get to pick something else, or do I have to pick one of those four?
Of those four.
Of those four?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. I would say democratic socialism because it's internal at this point.
Yeah, that's what my vote would be too. It would be democratic socialism. Like you said, it's internal. That's the threat that comes from inside, and it's an ideological battle. It's not one that you can fight with bombs. We can fight China with bombs. We can fight Russia with bombs. That's not going to be fun. We're fighting Iran with bombs, and we're doing a pretty good job. And, but the democratic social thing is an ideological battle. And that's, to me, why it's the biggest threat.
Absolutely. Sure is. Brad, it's been great working with you. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. I hope she's coming back here in a few days. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't panic. Nobody panic.
You want me to read the results of the poll?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. With our votes in, I just ended the poll. The lowest was Iran with 2%, and then China with 8%. 29% is Russia. And with 61% of the vote, it is democratic socialism. And if those numbers don't add up, I'm reading and the text is really small. I might have got a little bit of percentage.
Ding, 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 ding. Johnny, tell him what he's won. You called it, bud. You called it. I'm Heidi Harris. I'll see you guys around.